Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who are not familiar with me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, it's going. It's going. I have a tab playing somewhere. Damn it. Oh, okay,
well,
there we go. Sorry. It's going. No, I went to go see Fantastic Four earlier today, so we'll get to talk about that some. Already got a chance to talk a bit on Midnight's Edge After Dark, but yeah, Price and I have not really gotten to talk about Fantastic Four yet, so we'll get to dive into that a bit later. And yeah, man, there's been wow. One thing that we talked about for a while on Mead tonight was how many friggin' celebrities have died in the past week. Dear God, how many more can we fit in before Saturday night?
yeah, I mean, usually they come and go in threes, but this one I feel like so many at the same time. Well, maybe it's a three. 'Cause we got,
Well, I mean, yeah, we've got three, and then there was a fourth. So now it's like
who
all
was the
bets are
fourth?
off
Okay,
now.
so there was
So we got
Malcolm
Ozzy.
Jamal Warner, there
Yeah,
was
Ozzy
Ozzy
passed away.
Osbourne, Hulk Hogan.
Mal yeah, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, Hulk Hogan, Chuck Mangione,
Ah,
yeah, he's a jazz musician, artist,
you're right, you're right.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
he
you're right.
passed away. There were a couple of other smaller people. There was a chef, celebrity chef, from the Food Network, Anne Burrell, who, unfortunately, Minecrafted, herself.
Really?
Rather sad. But yeah, there was yeah, but yeah, the whole thing with like Malcolm Jamal Warner and Hulk Hogan just completely out of nowhere. Both of those, like it's
What?
not like you're always prepared for people to die, but it's like some people like yeah, they're fairly old, they've been around for a long time. It's like oh yeah, but like Hulk Hogan, like yeah, he was 71, but you didn't expect him to just keel over from a heart attack. It was
I mean, I don't wanna speak ill of people that are not here, and I liked Hulk Hogan. I will say, and I'll try to navigate this in the most polite way that I can, that some of those people that have a lot of, muscles
yes.
throughout their lives may have done certain things to make sure they have a lot of muscles. Sometimes years of making sure you have a lot of muscles may take its toll on other systems that you may have, if you know what I'm trying to say.
This is very true, yes. The same with people like Ozzy, who spent many years abusing their body with various different types of, illicit chemicals and others that weren't illicit, but,
Right, right.
that kind of thing takes a toll on you as well, so, those things are not surprising, but the Malcolm Jamal Warner thing was just, that was just tragic. That's very, very,
That's
very
a
sad.
strange tragedy. I don't even know the specifics of what Malcolm Jamal Warner was even doing.
Yeah, so he was on vacation with his family, in Costa Rica. And, as far what I've read from like, the police report or from the local news was that, they were swimming, and he and his eight-year-old daughter were, pulled out in a riptide and, kinda, pulled out to sea, and, there were, lifeguards and even a surfer that went out to try and help, and, the surfer with the person with the surfboard managed to get out there and got his daughter, but by the time, they got him, uh, this lifeguard got out there and pulled him in, he had already drowned, and they did CPR for, like, 45 minutes to try and bring him back, but
Oh,
yeah.
man. But, I mean, this is a terrible tragedy. I am happy to hear that his daughter was
Mm,
rescued, but
yeah,
it doesn't change the fact that he passed away, but
yeah,
I it's sort of like, all I can say is it could have been a bigger tragedy, at least
yeah,
this is out of 2 tragedies, which both of them are bad, one of them could have been worse. I don't really know what else to say, but at
yeah,
least I'm
yeah,
somewhat happy that the girl was rescued.
yeah, that his daughter was rescued and she was safe, yeah.
You know, I went to Costa Rica. I actually, last year I was in Costa Rica,
Oh, wonderful.
It's really strange because I think I was only there for like a day or something. What happened was, it's really stupid, but I was on like some boat thing that goes to Costa Rica,
Hmm.
one of those like cruises or whatever it was. Don't ask me why I was on one or how I ended up in Costa Rica. This is all stuff that I don't know how I even got pulled into that scene. In any case, I was in Costa Rica, completely off topic, but I didn't realize that the sun was so hot in Costa Rica, and I walked around and I didn't put any kind of suntan lotion or whatever it is, because I'm kind of more old school. Like, what am I gonna now put like some weird cream on me? You know what I'm saying? So I went out and walked around for like, for a day. I was walking around. I don't think I've ever been burned in my life as much as I was burned from me walking around in Costa Rica. And then on the second day, I was like the complete loser that I never wanted to be. I put all the cream and all this crap, and I had to put all this like aloe vera stuff.
Oh
Very,
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very
Oh yeah.
embarrassing.
I Yeah, I rarely, well, I don't spend that much time outside, but amusingly, I have a skin type that usually would burn rather easily, but I know I don't tend to uh, burn that easily. But the earlier this summer, I went outside. I think I was outside at like maybe 15 minutes at a time over, a 2 or 3 hour period, kinda going in and out, doing some stuff, and I got burned worse than I've been burned in years, and I was like, I wasn't even, like, outside for, like, a really long time. It was just, like, little stints here and there, and somehow I managed to just burn the hell out of my neck. So, yeah, I don't know, it
Yeah,
happens. Oh, but
that
man, I
happens.
gotta say, before we get too far on, you have some mightily generous gifts waiting for you over on
Oh, okay,
YouTube,
okay. Then
Bryce.
let's talk about that for a second. Let me find this generous gift you speak of, and let's do fair. Oh wow, yeah, there is a lot of very nice thing. Wow, you said generous. This is more generous than I expected. Hold on one second. Let me try to share this. So this is from Mary White, who gifted 10 Price of Reason live gift memberships.
Oh, you're
Now
not
I'm trying
sharing
to
it,
understand.
Bryce. You're not on presentation.
Oh, I'm on presentation
Yeah, yeah,
here
yeah.
at Price
There
of
you go.
Reason Studios. So it seems to say it 3 times. Did it happen? Am I reading this correctly?
You are 3 times, and then, we have some other things going on as well, so
Man, this is so kind of you, Mary. Mary is just so awesome. I regardless of all the gifts, she just helps us, and it's really nice of her regardless. But this, I don't really know what to say to this. It's super,
yeah.
super kind of her. So
Gift of, gift of 30
it's
Price
30
of
basically.
Reason live gift memberships. Fantastic.
She did 10, then she did another 10, and then she did another 10. And my apologies, Mary, that it took a second. I was babbling about me getting burnt in Costa Rica. I should have been talking about your gifts. So those are more important. And then you also have, is that Istophobos in a new name?
I do believe that is Estivos.
Kal-El's harem. I got what you did there. Member for 9 months, and he's also a wrench, which is also cool. And of course, you know him. He hangs out with us here uh, occasionally. And oh, it's the thing where it's doubling the screen, right? This is
Yep, yep, we're getting the infinity mirror thing
the
going.
infinity mirror. So then he also gifted 5 Price of Reason live gift memberships. This is very, very nice of everybody. I
Very
am so
kind. Thank
thankful.
you.
We never, we try not to bother people. We don't say, "Oh, you go to send the thing," because we like hanging out here and we like hanging out with you. Obviously, this is always something that we really appreciate and enjoy, and we always appreciate the gift. So it's very kind of you all, both to you, Mary White. This is just amazing, and Istophobos also. Thank you so much. So I'll sort of keep it in a way that maybe we could see sort of All of them, kind of. If I keep moving it along and it does the infinity window, then everybody will get to shine somehow.
There you go.
In any case, cheers to everybody, and cheers to all these people that got gifts now. There's so many
Yeah.
people that now got gifts, and we're appreciative of that. And yeah, what was I gonna say now?
All I know is I've never been to Costa Rica, but that is the point of origin for my favorite coffee. I love Costa Rican coffee. I don't know what
I'm
they
not.
do there that's so special, but Costa Rican coffee is my favorite.
I'm not even sure. I'm trying to think now. First of all, I remember that in Costa Rica, this is even when I brought it up, because you know what? I didn't go in the water in Costa Rica. I decided to hang around. I didn't even. It's not that I thought of riptides or anything like that. Just my instinct told me like don't fiddle around where you don't need to. I didn't feel that I needed to jump in the water and do stuff there. Maybe I'm like an old fashioned guy. It's bad enough that I walked around without the sunscreen, but I didn't go in the water. I did sit on the water, ate some seafood, ate some stuff, and went to a few stores and hung around, talked to some people, even some local people. It was an interesting experience, but yeah, I don't know. I these days I don't swim much. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's water somewhere, I prefer to steer away from it.
I'm not big for swimming in the ocean. It's not my thing. I might get in the pool every now and then, but yeah, oceans or like dirty waters and lakes and stuff like that. No, not really,
I almost
not
never
really a
go
thing.
never go into any water. The most maybe like a bath, like a bathtub. That's probably like the most like dangerous waters you'll see me in. But yeah, I understand. He was there with his family. It's a very, very sad story. But we'll get to at least some of these celebrities afterwards. I wanted to start off. Did you happen to catch that South Park episode that aired last night?
Yes, I did. Uh, well, we can talk about it. Generally, I there were a lot of people with opinions on this episode. I didn't think it was all that clever or particularly funny, honestly.
Well,
But
this is what I'm thinking. See, the thing with South Park is people were saying, well, that's their comedy, they do whatever. And generally, I do like their comedy, but as I've told you many times here on the show, and we brought it up on several occasions, I feel like back in the day, maybe the first 10 seasons, if you watch those old episodes of South Park, there were times that it was so tightly written that there's like joke after joke after joke after joke, and it's just like, it won't leave you alone. And I think that what happened was, in an effort to be so topical, where they started doing things that they're waiting for the last second to do the episode so they can talk about like an issue of the week or be all topical. I think it came at the expense of them writing better screenplays, because if you look at the earlier seasons where they didn't have that option to just make the episode last minute and they had to actually give more thought to it, and maybe they were younger and more ambitious. I feel like if you go for like season 1 to 10, you got a different level of writing than what you got afterwards. Now, here and there, I'll watch an episode and they'll still say or do something that'll crack me up. Even maybe in yesterday's episode. But for the most part, I think that in the past, I don't know how many years, more often than not, there's more things that don't make me laugh than there things that do make me laugh. Do you get what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, I know. I get what you're saying.
And I think that with this episode, they just went for very obvious. I don't know if to call it low hanging fruit or whatever it is. It almost, in a way, felt a bit lazy to me. Like they just made Trump like Saddam. So if
Yeah,
you
yeah, it felt really lazy. Yeah, I totally agree.
like that's what I thought of it when I saw it. I'm like, couldn't you do something better? I already know Saddam. Oh, he's like Saddam now. It didn't seem strong enough. I knew what they were doing, and it's like it was a wink to whoever knew, the old school South Park. So it was a little bit of a wink to them. But you know
Mhm.
what? It just felt kind of lazy. And not only that, they had like multiple times that he's going to bed, and it's like almost repeating itself. Just it it felt like they were trying to say something, or maybe there was sort of an idea, but they went for all the lazy shortcuts. It felt like something that they were haphazardly putting together. And yeah, they're skilled enough that even if they put something together in 5 minutes, it's going to be probably funnier than if you and I put it together. But you know what? This was not their best work. That's putting aside. I mean, uh, do I also think that the thing with Trump, some people will probably get offended and say, "Oh, it was over the top." I don't necessarily know if to tell you it was over the top, but I will say I thought to myself, would they ever do that to like Obama? Would they ever do that to anybody else? I'm not sure. Uh, I think that it was certainly in the high extreme spectrum of what they're capable of delivering. But at the same time, it's like what you said and what we were both saying, because of the laziness and the fact that it wasn't the best episode, it kind of it doesn't really leave you with such a great, feeling at the end of it, I think.
No, I there was first of all, I found the gags about Cartman being upset about Woke being dead. Those were way funnier than any of the Trump stuff in the episode. I thought that what that particular storyline was way funnier, and how he was sitting around laughing about how the stuff that was on NPR, all liberal women talking about all these horrible things and all the stuff like that. That was what he was missing was the comedy of all of NPR. Like that was a lot funnier. It
That was
still wasn't
probably the best
great.
part of the episode. I
Yeah,
actually agree with you. That was
yeah,
probably the best part of the episode. And again, first of all, you can ridicule anybody, and Trump, it's not off limits. He
yeah.
does whatever he does.
Except
And
Biden.
I
Like,
mean, let me see for a second. I'm trying to see if there's like
there's a Rumble rant.
oh, there's a Rumble rant.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second. I am going to this Rumble rant right now. Okay, I got it. So you have ugh, let me see for a second. You have it didn't come up. Oh, it came up here. It's the Phobos. It seemed unnecessarily personal. They never went after Biden like that. That's the thing, is that if they would have done this with Obama and Biden, I think it would have been very fair play. They actually were kind of with kids' gloves with those guys, but then in this case, they kind of went
Yeah.
all in. I still am not saying that Trump is like beyond being able, you can ridicule him, but I like I was telling you, it felt somewhat lazy and it didn't land in a way that I thought was spectacular. Uh,
No.
I say this a lot of times. Sometimes you have these comedians, you see a stand-up comedian and he's saying all this stuff, and like usually it's kind of like the difference between a comedian offending you and between a comedian making you laugh is if his jokes are funny. Like Dave Chappelle, for example, has said some of the craziest things ever. And I've said it before. He has opinions, even political ones, that I don't agree with. There are certain positions that he has that I absolutely 100% am against. I don't like everything that he stands for, or whatever you want to say it. But man, when he stands on a stage and he wants to tell some jokes, chances are he's going to make me laugh at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no matter what I think, no matter our disagreements, and that's really his kind of superpower, that he knows how to deliver that joke. He can do something even if it's something that I don't agree with, or it's different than what I believe, or whatever it is. He can make something funny, Dave Chappelle. Whereas, and South Park, I'll say for many years, if they really put their mind to it, they have the capability of making me laugh too. Specifically in that episode, it felt like rushed and lazy. They pasted the old Saddam on Trump without even giving him like new characteristics. There's really not a lot done except for like a very, it's almost like a very cheap like PP type of thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine. Like I said, like low hanging fruit. It doesn't even, you know, when they skewered Bono, that like at the end of it, I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, man, this is just like, bonkers insane. But that was clever if you remember the Bono one.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, they were saying they never went, or Istvos was saying they never went after Biden like that. No, there were some gags here and there during the time when Obama was in office, where they did some gags with Obama, but never anything about him having a tiny dick or stuff like that. Then with Biden, no. As someone asked, did they ever go after Biden? No, no, literally, never. They did not go after Biden. I'll tell you exactly why. Biden was president when there was peak woke, and they knew they were going to get their asses handed to them, and they would be fired if they did. So they didn't go after Biden. Never, not once.
Yeah.
He's shown up as a side character where he's basically just standing there, where there was like a caricature of him. That was it. Never did they ever go after him. So no, and you know what? I get it. They're left leaning guys. They don't have to go after everyone. They do go after lots of people in lots of different areas. I found it a lot funnier when they were spending their time not going after political figures, but going after these pompous musicians and Hollywood figures and stuff like that, taking the air out of those people. I thought that was a lot funnier than particularly targeting any particular political party. But yeah, they can have their viewpoints. They can make fun of who they want, and you know what? It's fine. They can make fun of Trump. It doesn't bother me. I just genuinely, I didn't think that the jokes were all that funny.
That's
Uh,
what I'm
they
saying. That's what
they
I'm
go
saying.
to they go to the same well like 5 times with a joke about him having a tiny dick. Like they did, and then the only other joke was, oh, he's going to sue us, and they just went with that joke like over and over again. Like that was
You
it.
you know, I kind of if it would have been more focusing on the suing thing and them like, "Oh, we'll give him 303.5 million, bro. That's not a bad deal. Like, we'll just cut this and that." That was mildly amusing. I mean, it's fine. It's just the way they squeeze that lemon to try to bring more and more jokes that were just repeating themselves with Trump. I feel like I said, they went for low hanging fruit. They went for kind of very kind of simple. It wasn't as sophisticated as some of the things they've done in the past. And yes, if I compare it to other presidents, I don't think that they leaned in so hard against them. But let's just say that, like, I can accept that this is satire and all that different stuff. I just feel like it
Yeah.
wasn't funny enough. I agree. I think we're
No.
both on the same page.
Yeah, it
And
didn't make me angry. Um,
no, it didn't
no,
make me angry
who
either. I
cares?
mean,
It
also,
just wasn't amusing. Like I said, I thought the whole bit with Cartman, like, being sad about the cancellation of not being able to
that was
listen
the
to
best part of the
NPR
episode. He's like,
and
"Oh, I love
and
listening to these ladies on NPR. Like, don't you know, like these crazy, like
the crazy liberal
liberal."
women.
That was like the
Yes,
funniest part. Yeah,
yeah, and then him
this
trying to commit to Minecraft himself with exhaust off of an electric car.
no, and there was also one other thing that kind of cracked me up. Uh, okay, so you had a few things that cracked me up. Cartman being sad that NPR is gone was funny. The other thing is that when 60 Minutes came to like South Park and they were talking about President Trump and they're like, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. We really
Yeah,
like
yeah.
him.
No, no. The
We
people the
really
people
like that.
here, they're protesting Trump. We're not saying we agree with them. We're not saying we agree with them. They're just this town. The people of this town are
Right.
protesting Trump.
See,
And so
those were moments that were better. That was funny.
yes.
The town being like, "Well, we got off kind of easy. Let's give him $3.5 million" was funny, and
Yeah.
the part with Car, yeah. So what we said, those few things were funny. Again, maybe there was a way to make Trump, even with whatever they wanted, the low hanging fruit to laugh at him. They could have done that in a funny way, but the fact that they kept just repeating it over and over again, it wasn't as sophisticated. And yeah, I mean, also the copy paste with Saddam seemed lazy. I feel like there was if they were on their A game, there would have been something better for Trump. I really think they could have done better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's done better in the sense of like make it funny, It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Just yeah, really just to really take the piss out of them. Like really go after it. Like it just didn't feel like they did. It was just sort of
there's certainly things you can laugh at
yeah.
him. You know what I'm saying? And I'll also say I never put anybody on a pedestal, and no politician is above being satired or
Yeah.
doing things like that. It's fine. It's like you said. It's not that I watched it and like I didn't have like a meltdown one way or another. I also don't love politicians to begin with, but I just thought to myself the few things that I thought. One, if I compare it to other presidents, I don't think any other president has received such harsh skewering. But at the same time, if they also, like you said, were going to do such harsh skewering, it would have been better if it was a bit funnier. So you had that uneven, mixed episode at best. But that's how they are these days. Even let's say that they did the Kathleen Kennedy episode that had some parts that made me laugh, they still didn't necessarily have that kind of laugh, the laughter I got from back in the day. People just don't realize that. I don't know if you remember, Professor, how they were in the earlier days.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was one of those things. It was funny because we didn't in the early days when they started airing this, we did not have Comedy Central on our on our cable packages in the area, but there was a nearby university that they had their own like little cable network thing that they set up with some partner or whatever, and they had Comedy Central. So people who were, like in the dorms living at the university would record it, and then like it would get shuffled out to the rest of us so that we could watch South Park.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even give him his own voice. They could have just like they didn't even try. They're like, "Hey, relax, guy."
Yeah. Well, and some
Kind
people
of.
have pointed out, I was reading some stuff where people were pointing out that they think that perhaps that this is not actually Trump, that it is somebody pretending to be Trump. Maybe it's what was the Canadian Prime Minister? What was his name? Trudeau. Like maybe it's Trudeau pretending to be Trump or something, because if you look at the way that he's animated and the way that he talks, that he is actually acting like a Canadian is normally represented in the show.
I guess so, but
So,
I don't think
yeah,
so. I
I don't
think
know.
they.
There's just some people with some theories about stuff. I don't know.
No, I think that they meant it was him and whatever. Like I said, I'm not offended by comedy, and I think that South Park are known for skewering everybody, and it's fine. Even though I do think that they leaned in very harshly on him compared to other presidents, but that doesn't mean that they're not allowed to do it and it's part of their comedy and it's all fine. It's just like we both said, not funny enough. I did like a comment here Stephobos shared before that he was saying Dave Chappelle sometimes it has things to say that aren't necessarily favorable about white people. And the thing is, he's very clever about it. He also mentioned a certain religion that sometimes he seems not so supportive of, and I think the thing with Chappelle is that he's clever. He knows how to kind of slip it in there, and it's in a way that he kind of puts it with peppers it on his jokes. But what I will say is, it doesn't matter what he's peppering. He is funny.
Mhm.
There's stories that he's really made me laugh. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's a talent. So it doesn't mean that every comedy that I see has to be somebody that thinks the same of me and all that stuff. But what I do like if it's very funny, and I see that the White House had something to say. Said South Park, this show hasn't been relevant for over 20 years and can't derail Trump's hot streak. I mean, I wouldn't say it hasn't been relevant for over 20 years because people still watch it. What I will say, at least in my opinion, is that the show has gone more from kind of the hardcore audience of the early days that would watch it to more of like a normie institution. Not exactly normie, as edgy as you can get within sort of a more normie institution. They push the envelope within that field. But those early seasons, the movie, the stuff that they did back in the day, that was cutting edge stuff. I,
Mhm.
I wouldn't I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that they're like has-beens, but they're not cutting edge like they used to be. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just not the same. We also have a Rumble rant.
Oh,
Another
did
one
I
from
miss
Mr.
it? Where is
Phobos.
it?
I don't think we uh from Mr.
Uh,
Phobos
I can't seem to
about
find it.
daring Trump to sue them. Did we read that one?
Let's see for a second. I'm trying to find it. It was as if they were daring Trump to sue them. Funny as the defense for anything, but it has to be funny.
Yeah. There was definitely that element of the jokes that they were making about, oh, we're gonna get sued if we keep talking. Stop talking about this because Trump's gonna sue us. Whatever. And then yes, all of the reporters and everyone being not wanting to talk about it for fear of upsetting Trump. And honestly, I don't think that the press is really like that. They're not afraid to talk about things because they're afraid they're going to get sued. It now if they just make stuff up,
Right. That's
if they
that's the problem.
lie, then maybe they should be afraid of being sued for libel or whatever. But
Tim A says Cartman was funny. That was the highlight of the episode. I thought
yeah,
Cartman was probably the highlight of the episode.
Wokey's
Patriot
dead.
Johnny says, I used to like South Park 25 years ago and it was funny. Now it's just pathetic. Again, I think that now the way I would describe it is uneven. The way
Yeah,
I can only describe, maybe I'm different, maybe comedy has changed, maybe the world has changed. I remember sitting and watching back in the day South Park, and I've told you this before. There were situations in those earlier seasons that I would sit there and laugh hysterically, like holding my stomach, laughing to a situation that I'm almost like I'm like almost like tears in my eyes from laughter. Not tears like a sensitive tears. It's just like the belly laugh is so hard that I'm almost like having a tear because like I'm really laughing. That's how much they made me laugh back in the day. I don't get that kind of laughter from the show. Now you could say maybe you're more cynical now. You don't like comedy as much or whatever it is, but I also think that they're not the same. Uh they were at this point that they were like taking on the world. They were just bonkers, insane, crazy, and I don't know. It's sometimes when you're more in your youth doing stuff, that's when you have the edge. And right now, if you compare it to stuff like The Simpsons and Family Guy and all that stuff, I still think that South Park has more laughs to offer than those guys do. Like, I still think that on their day, South Park can generate some laughs for me, even in kind of like a mediocre episode.
yeah,
But they're not
and
on
they
top
were.
of their game their way they used to be for sure.
Yeah, yeah, well, and like you said, there's it's uneven. There's been some of the recent specials. The thing about the Panderstone and Kathleen Kennedy and Disney, that particular episode was hilarious.
Yeah,
So
that really they kind of stepped up for that one. They had
yeah,
some funny things going on. But even so, even you know what, that was one of the better ones I've seen in a long time, the one with Kathleen Kennedy. But there's enough episodes. It used to be that like I said, if you actually go back and look at an episode like Chimpokemon, okay? I don't know if
yes.
you remember that one.
Oh, I do. Yes.
That was a brilliant episode. It's like there isn't even a bit of fat in that episode. I haven't watched it for years. Maybe comedy is different. I don't know how I'd feel now. But when I saw that Chimpokemon one, if you compare it to comedy at the time and what it brought to the table, I couldn't believe how funny it was. I mean, that one was like, hilarious. And even in that one, they skewered a president. They did all this stuff. Like they basically that was great. That was the type of comedy they used to do then, and I feel like they gave more care to their ideas. There was just so much other stuff going on there. I
Yeah.
mean, we haven't thought about him for a long time. Recently, I saw that the son of Isaac Hayes was talking about how Scientology basically quit on his behalf, and that Isaac Hayes didn't really have anything to do with that decision, and he was already unhealthy. But yeah, don't forget, like Chef used to be on the show, which I thought was cool. It just it over the years something changed about it, and it wasn't the same magical thing that it was then. It's just kind of an uneven show that sometimes has really great moments, but sometimes it kind of falls flat. And yesterday was a good example for it, for like lazy jokes that are kind of low hanging fruit, don't land so much, and a few that I thought were funnier than others. But I'm not having meltdowns about it one way or another. It's better to have some satire, I guess, than not have
Yeah.
satire. And it's a free country.
I mean, yeah. Hey, to this day, I will put Good Times with Weapons up against just about any comedy episode you could air on any channel.
Is that the
That
one with the ninja star and Butters?
didn't it? They have they
Yeah.
all have swords and ninja stars and stuff they bought at the local fair. Yes, and Butters gets a star in his face.
And then they do a kind of this Japanese kind of style of
Yes, they keep cutting away to like anime styled versions of their
I
characters.
really
Yeah,
like that
it's
was them in their
incredibly
prime,
funny.
just such a brilliant episode, and not
Yeah.
only that, the thing that probably got me the most was those little songs they had that Trey Parker sings like those,
Yes.
like that he sings like the Japanese songs.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I
Like
love
the
that.
anime
I
theme song things for the characters. Yeah.
That was so funny, like, whatever was going on, like, that was just so funny. I agree with you. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't mean that I don't think that Trey and Matt are very talented. Sometimes you have misses and hits, and sometimes you have stuff that's uneven. And I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
But
and
I don't think Trump.
they've signed a deal now with Paramount, correct? It's 50 episodes for $1.5 billion.
I mean, kudos to them. They do like the best business. Those two guys, like they. I mean, also they're kind of lucky because I think when they started, probably nobody thought much of their show, and they like had a deal that probably, if today anybody were to think about it, no network and nobody would ever agree to that deal. I don't know how they got such a good deal, but they own so much of that show when it comes to the merch and the kind of back end and all the stuff that they get from it, that they are just swimming in money. Those two guys, and and listen, their show does well. I mean, there's a lot of people that watch South Park. Like I said, it's an institution at this point. And Paramount, yeah, they closed a $1.5 billion deal with them, and even amidst all this settlement with Trump, nobody can stop these guys. They can just do whatever they want. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. I mean, I'm happy that somebody does satire. I think that having people that can do satire and to go all in and whatever they want, it's important. Could be something like I said, it doesn't land or it doesn't 100% speak to me, or maybe they didn't do it as well as they could have, and maybe it's a bit lazy here and there. But I still think that they're probably more talented than a lot of other people. It's better than, let's say, Larry David, who finished Curb Your Enthusiasm, and now he wants to launch a show with Obama. It's like, dude, you created like a few of the greatest comedies of all time, and you want to do a show with Obama. So lame. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did see something about that.
I forgot to even mention it. It's like, what are you making a show with Obama? I think it's embarrassing. And the guy, Larry David, is already like in his 70s or late 70s or whatever. Just retire, man. Some people are just so weird. Like, what? That's after all the years and all your good work. Now you want to make some stupid show with Obama. It's like, it's not. It's not even the fact that like if Obama is on one side of the political spectrum or another. It's just like, what do you even have to do now? This political thing now. You already did your shows. People like them. Who needs that? You know. Just my 2 cents. In
Yeah.
any case, I guess that's what we were talking about with Trump. Moving on to our next topic.
Yes.
We saw a movie today.
We did, yes.
Now, I want to try to pull up the Rotten Tomatoes here, which mysteriously, as we keep on covering here, I mean, man, you think by the reviews and by this Rotten Tomatoes, you think Fantastic Four is the best movie ever made. The best. It has an 88% tomato meter. That's like the best movie ever made. And popcorn meter, of course, it's like 92%. The critics and the audiences, they can't decide who likes this more. Apparently the audiences, but they're fighting with each other over who gives it like the best score in the world, because it's the best thing that's ever happened to them. The only problem is, Professor, that I have seen this movie. And I'm going to tell you one thing. This is just my humble opinion. These scores are absolute bullshit. Sorry, Sean. Absolute bullshit. Sorry, Sean, again.
Yeah.
Absolute. This is crap. I don't believe it for a second. I saw this movie. Now, I know I'm probably going to be one of its harshest critics. I was not happy with the movie. If you want, you can first of all tell me what you thought, because I don't want to be a dick. Sorry,
well,
Sean.
no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm sure we're going to go back and forth for a while. Should we try and go without spoilers, or are we just going to spoil this turd? Because
here's the thing. Here's the thing. First of all, most of what I saw in this movie already was shown in the trailers. So
yes, it was.
I feel like anybody that's seen a few trailers can pretty much get like what this movie is about. There's really not much to it beyond that. Now, when it comes to the final scenes of how it ends and some ins and outs, maybe we can avoid spoiling. But
Okay.
I'm
At least for
telling
the
you
moment.
honestly, if you watch the trailer and whatever marketing they've done for this movie, you probably understand what this movie is about. It is absolutely a case that the entire movie is in the trailers. But go on.
Well, trailers, and then this clip that they released, and that clip that
With
they showed
clips, you're
off,
done. With
and this
like
clip that they released, and the other one that they put somewhere else. Yeah.
with clips like and like the only thing that was sort of leaked that a few like people were talking about, like a minor detail about the end, that was also spoiled too,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah. It was all
Basically,
pretty heavily spoiled beforehand.
it
Everyone in the chat says spoil it. So
it's
we don't have to worry about it too much.
well, let's start. Let's first of all start talking
We'll
but
start
without the
without it. So
full spoiler.
yeah,
But
so in general, I'll start off just sort of general impressions here. So uh I'm gonna give this C minus, maybe D plus. Well, I'll be generous. I'll say C minus. This barely succeeds at being a film. I did not want to walk out of this. I was not in suffering pain like I would be, say, Captain America: Brave New World, where the whole time I was just baffled that this ever made it to the screen. I had some things about this that I was all right with, that I enjoyed, that surprised me. So I will say first, the plot formulaic as hell. If you saw one story beat, you knew exactly where they were going with it next and exactly where it was going to show up at the end. It was really formulaic, and for the most part, the plot was also extremely dull. There were numerous times I complained about sort of with Superman how there was no time to breathe. There's way too much time to breathe. I felt like it's like crazy action, and then they're just like sitting around doing stuff, and you're like, why? I don't care about this right now. Um, so all the characters were just two dimensional. They're just paper cutouts. I could not care less about any of them. They made Reed out to be this sort of brilliant but socially inept trope, right? Where, oh, he's super smart, but he can't do anything, barely tie his shoes, kind of a thing. And then Sue Storm, there's going to be arguments about, oh, was she a girl boss? Oh, whatever. Uh, Girl boss or not, she's grating, she's annoying, and I could not stand her. And no, I don't care how many reviews that come out and say the cast chemistry is amazing. There is no freaking chemistry between Pedro and Kirby. Just no. There's no
zero
chemistry
chemistry,
there at
0.
all. It's creepy when they're together and like brushing each other's faces and stuff. It just doesn't. There's nothing there. And then for some good things, I while I still did not like Ben's voice, I felt like they needed to do something a little bit more with it, make it a little more gravelly or something. You get used to it in watching it, and I thought the actor did a good job playing Ben Grimm. I was fine with it. And while I felt like again, the characters are really two-dimensional, Johnny, while I thought the actor who was there was fine, the characterization of Johnny is completely wrong. But the two of them together, when Johnny and Ben are together, that does work. There's a little bit of chemistry. You could tell probably these two were joking around on set, messing with each other. There's a little bit of chemistry with those guys, and that when they were together doing stuff together, I thought that worked well. Another thing I would say that worked well was the CGI. It was actually much better than I had expected. Looking at the trailers, looking at some of the early clips and stuff that we were given, I was expecting this to be another smeared, awful looking nightmare like we've gotten with many of the recent Marvel films. They clearly heard those complaints and really put some people to work to try and make this look better. I thought that Galactus and seeing Galactus and his ship and that environment, that all worked really well. I thought that even though I still hate the female Silver Surfer, the Silver Surfette, I thought that the effects on her looked much more finished, much cleaner in the film than we had seen in any of the previous trailers and stuff. So they definitely took that to heart. So the effects here, I was surprised that they worked as well as they did. And then the last thing I'll say, another thing that I felt worked really well in this was, yes, the design, the retro futuristic design. They went back to the 1960s and did some of that. That looks great. They did a really good job with that, although I do have some complaints about some of the retrofuture. There's always a little bit of a weirdness when you do retrofuturism. It's like, wow, we have this amazing technology over here, and yet people are still using, tube televisions. You know what I mean? There's always sort of this weird anachronistic thing going on. And there was a few times watching the movie, I was just sort of slapped in the face by, it doesn't make any sense. Like they have this crazy advanced technology. They clearly have like, digital, computers. They have, magnetic tape. And yet they're recording signals from space onto records. Like I don't that made no freaking sense at all. It's just a visual like gag. So anyway, that's it. Just in general, that's my impressions. Again, I would if I was generous, it's a C minus. Maybe like if you want to translate that to a however many out of 10. If 0 is a total fail, 5 is passing, that would be like it'd be like a 4 out of 10.
I see. Based on my thing, usually for me, anything below a
Yeah.
60 is an F. So I
Yeah,
guess
see, that's like, yeah, if I were saying, if I were actually using the regular scale, C minus would be like 70 at best, but
no,
yeah,
is it C minus? Yeah, maybe a 70.
yeah,
Um, in any case, Marla Sharendorf says Tara, she's talking about Tara Strong, I assume her sister, and Will love this movie.
okay,
That's cool. I'm not upset if people enjoyed it. I never get
no,
upset if people liked a movie. Istafobos said the best part of the movie was the car seat gag. Uh, and I will now share my opinion about this movie. I absolutely did not like the movie. Maybe there were a few redeeming things, like you said. Maybe the visuals weren't crappy, like let's say Ant-Man Quantumania or whatever it is.
oh
It wasn't
no,
like an embarrassment, the
not that
visuals.
bad, not
But
even
I'll
close.
tell you what I was thinking. When I was watching it, I felt to myself, this movie, maybe the CGI is better, but there's so much CGI. I
There
feel like
was quite a bit, yeah,
I feel like in the past you had movies that had real actors in real rooms doing stuff. I kind of miss a little bit more of that. It's fine to have CGI, but the over reliance of these films, there's something at the end. There's like an uncanny feeling to it that you just feel like it's overproduced. It's over visual effects. If you know what I'm trying to say.
sure, yeah, and I will say one thing that was pointed out. We talked about a bit on Mead, since you weren't there. A lot of people did mention the baby and how awful the baby looked throughout the film.
Yeah, was that baby looked like it was CGI.
Yeah, it was CGI most of the time, and there were even a couple shots. There was one that really stuck out to me where Ben was holding the baby, where, the thing is holding the baby, and you could tell like they had CGI'd like his outfit and the baby together, and it looked awful. Just didn't
I
work.
agree with you. I saw that too, and I also it kind of annoyed me. I also agree with people are saying that the thing was kind of small. I didn't love how the thing looked. I will give you one thing, Professor, that out of this cast, I think that Joseph Quinn, that played Johnny Storm, at least made an effort to do something. Maybe
Sure.
the writing wasn't good, but I felt that the actor was game. He came to work, and his chemistry with the other guy that played the thing that played Ben, that wasn't terrible. But from there, it doesn't, all of this doesn't matter because there's two major problems that the movie never recovers from, and nothing you can do or tell me changes how I felt about the movie because of this. Mainly, Pedro Pascal is not Reed Richards. He's not Reed Richards. I don't believe him for a second. He is horribly miscast in this role. Now, part of it is also the way they wrote that character is shitty. Sorry, Sean. But in addition to it, Pedro Pascal brings nothing extra to the table that you think, well, maybe he could have been served with better writing. Like with Johnny Storm, we'd say, well, Joseph Quinn could have gotten a better written screenplay, but at least it looked like he was trying to do something with it. Whereas Pedro Pascal, I don't have one good word to say about him. And it's not because he's Pedro Pascal and he's overexposed and he's annoying in a personal level and with all his politics. It has nothing to do with that. If I walked in and he was good in this movie, I'd tell you kind of like what I said about Dave Chappelle. I'd say, you know what, he's so annoying, and I can't stand all of his bullshit. But you know what, he gave a good performance here. And there have been times that I've seen Pedro Pascal that I thought he gave a good performance. Thought he was good in Narcos. I thought he was good in
Mhm.
Game of Thrones. I thought he was good in that stupid movie with Nicolas Cage. He can do stuff sometimes that's fine. Awfully miscast. He is not Reed Richards, and if I don't believe that that guy is Reed Richards, it's like a domino effect that everything falls apart. Now,
Yeah.
if you
No.
had like, you know, if Vanessa Kirby was perfect at Sue Storm, I'd say, well, she really offsets the problem here because she's so darn likable. Can't stand her.
Oh,
Can't stand
she was the absolute opposite of likable.
unbearable. And I'm sorry, I don't know, maybe she's an actress and people like her. I personally, I think I've seen her in a few Mission Impossible movies where she played like a bitchy British lady. Maybe she was fine as that. I never really thought much of her beyond that. I don't think anything about her after seeing this movie. On the contrary, she is not I'm not saying she's a terrible actress. I'm saying that she is miscast in this role. She is not Sue Storm. She is so annoying. She comes off as so fucking annoying. Sorry, Sean. So once you have Pedro Pascal, who I don't believe is Reed Richards, and then you have Vanessa Kirby, who I don't believe is Sue Storm, the chemistry between them is non-existent, and everything that happens with these two characters annoys me every time I see them. It's hard for the movie to recover. And you know what? So many parts of the movie that relied on these two main characters, especially Reed Richards, but also her, the fact that they're not good, it ruins the movie for me. Yeah, you could tell me that it looked visually nice and they did a tip of the hat to Kirby and with his comics. I don't give a shit about any of that. If the screenplay is weak, which it is, the characters are written poorly, which they are, and the two main characters, arguably, or the at least two important characters, are so horribly miscast, the movie can't bounce back from it. And I'll tell you what, another thing, this movie had a lot of dead air, meaning there's a lot of scenes, I think you mentioned that, Professor, that they're just standing around and like everything is very quiet. And because of that, I feel like they told the composer to keep playing music in order
Mhm.
for you to notice that it's not quiet. So every few seconds there's like a violin playing as if it's like a telenovela. So watching Pedro Pascal, who I don't believe is Reed Richards, talk to Sue Storm, who I don't believe is Sue Storm, and then hearing the violin of the telenovela play every second, I couldn't stand it. Do you
Yeah.
get what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
Professor?
no, while this was not the worst score I've heard in a while, it's not good. And there are a lot of places where it's doing some pretty heavy lifting and it's not succeeding. So
I mean,
I know
I
what you
think
mean.
the guy tried his best. I don't know that he's a bad composer as much as that, like,
No,
I don't know what they
no.
told him to do. It could be that initially they watched that movie and it was such a bore that they just like had him play more violins, but somehow it makes it worse because if you watch the movie, if you rewatch it, every time somebody speaks, there's a violin playing. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, stop with the fucking violin. Sorry, I'm going all over the place. Sorry, Sean. Again, I just can't stand it. How many violins I heard. It was like the soundtrack of a telenovela. Even maybe I'm being mean to the composer. Maybe he's worth more than that. But that's how I walked away from this thing. And
Yeah. And they had the leitmotif of the Fantastic Four, like
couldn't stand it.
those notes it was coming up all the time. All
Too
the time.
much. Too much.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was a
so
telenovela.
yeah.
And there was something else. What
Yeah.
is it that I okay? So there was a point in the movie, and I'm telling you, I you know I feel bad, but this is the truth. I've told you this before that if I sit in the theater and I feel like going to sleep, there's something wrong with the movie. Like a good movie will keep me on the edge of my seat or make me really intrigued and entertained. Somehow these days, when you're sitting on a comfy kind of couch in a dark theater, and if something is really, really boring me, it kind of encourages me. I sort of feel like dozing off. And there was like a minute. I think I lost a minute of the movie. Like it's very rare because I always somehow catch myself and I make sure that it doesn't happen. There was something that right before they reached Galactus to talk to him,
Yes. Okay.
there was some stuff happening and I was getting more bored and more bored and more bored and it wouldn't end. And I feel like there was 60 seconds somewhere there that I kind of like, you know that thing when you're kind of fighting with your eyes?
Oh, yeah. No, it's funny you mentioned that price. I had a moment when I shut my eyes for a bit, and then I caught myself, realized, dozing off there. That is not something that often happens when I'm in a theater.
Right. I mean, the thing is for me, and people were asking, oh, what about like if you compare it to Superman, if you compare it to this? Let me tell you something. Superman, James Gunn's Superman is a movie that annoyed me. And I had a lot of issues with it. But when I gave my grade, I gave it, if anything below a 60 is a failing grade, when I did my review, I gave it a 60. The reason why is it's not necessarily that it was the worst movie I had seen. It was just, for me, the worst Superman movie I had seen. Meaning, I didn't like his choices for that character. If it was a different character that nobody knew, he was just called Mr. Splendid, then I wouldn't have minded. It's just Superman for me means something. And I thought that James Gunn, I felt like he was disrespecting the character in my mind. I didn't like his creative choices, and that ultimately put a damper on me watching the movie because I just didn't like what he was doing with the character. But in this case, it wasn't a situation that I'm like still in the movie the whole time, but I'm annoyed at creative choices. There are creative choices that annoyed me, but in this case, it was boring, and that's the worst thing a movie could be. A movie that bores me and like I lose a minute because I feel like sleeping. And this is in the middle of what's supposed to be like action, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could go to sleep. Not a good sign. And for me, if I gave James Gunn's Superman like a 60, I would probably give this movie like a 55. I can't give it a passing grade. I just can't. If you cast those two guys to be Sue Storm and Reed Richards, and you write them so poorly, and you write the screenplay so poorly, and there's all the telenovela violins and all the CGI overload, at the end of the day, I can't give it a passing grade. I know some people are going to be very generous, and they'll say it's good, or they'll say it's not so bad. It's better than this, better than that. I'm going to shock you now, Professor. I want to give you. Are you ready for a shocker?
Bring it.
I enjoyed. Again, I want to add this little disclaimer. The Thunderbolts is not the best movie that I've seen. I like the Thunderbolts more than this one because the Thunderbolts, if nothing else, had a little bit of fun to it. There was something a little fun about it. And you know what? Those characters, those actors were more, a few of them were more well cast in the role. The guy that played Wyatt Russell, I thought was like pleasant. The guy that Lewis Pullman's son that played Bob or whatever it is, seeing even Bucky, even though he didn't act so great, like he was all right. Even seeing those characters was more pleasant for me. It had a little more interest. These guys were a bore. It's the Fantastic Bore. That's what it is. I don't know what else to call it. And yeah, Thunderbolts is not a movie that got like a ringing endorsement for me. Aside from the fact that I told you it was dumb and stupid, but I didn't completely hate it. There were a few moments of it that were mildly fun, even though I knew I was watching like a subpar MCU dumb popcorn movie. But Fantastic Four, I also came with expectations. You know, with Thunderbolts, I had no expectations. I thought it would be crappy. It was a little less crappy than I thought. It was somehow watchable, and I let it slide. And with Fantastic Four, the first family of Marvel, I actually expected this thing to be good, or at least somewhat good. Everything, this is like the whole. Feige has everything riding on this movie. I thought maybe one time he'll finally go back to making a semi decent Marvel movie, and I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, there was so much wrong with this. I'll be honest. We were talking about this early on, Mead. So there was probably the first act of the movie that I was okay with. I didn't hate it. There were some things that bothered me that I was like, why did they put that in there? Everyone was like, oh, I thought that the thing with Herbie going around and baby proving the house was funny. I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of cloying and cheap, but that was in there. The way that they start the movie, literally, they start the movie with her on the toilet. This is how you start your superhero film? You start your superhero film with Sue on the toilet. Okay, great. But
yeah, that was
for the most part, I thought the first act worked okay. When the movie lost me was when they got to space and they were interacting with Galactus. After that, it's just downhill from there all the way through the rest of the film. It starts making less and less sense. It gets more and more, they make more and more stupid decisions, and they take lots of shortcuts in the plot. And I completely fell off at that point. I and the whole thing with, again, I still, the decision to have a female Silver Surfer is just wrong. Doesn't doesn't work for me at all. And I don't think it ever was going to work well for me. But uh, there were a few things, like I said early on, that kind of bothered me. I didn't like that once again we have another movie here that starts us sort of in the middle. We did that happened with Superman, right? Sort of started us in the middle, and then we had to sort of spend time catching up. We're like, oh, okay, so now it's 4 years. They've been superheroes for 4 years now. So what's going on? Okay, uh, it was really really off putting. And we also find out that apparently, well, Sue is this incredible diplomat. She's made peace with Subterranea, with Mole
She's the
Man.
leader. She's the leader.
Yeah,
Reed Richards is some dumb little shit.
yeah. Well, he's
He's a
a
stupid idiot, Reed Richards. Sorry,
yeah.
go
Well,
on.
like I said, he's this trope of the really brilliant scientist who's completely inept at everything else. Right? He doesn't understand human emotions, and he doesn't know how to tie his shoes or drive a car. Like he's this, sort of that trope, which I,
What
you know,
is
I
Nerd
was.
Wars here? Why did
Uh,
somebody, tag him?
yes, Nerd Wars is here. He gave us a super chat.
He did? Why didn't you
He
tell me?
did. Oh, it
What is
just
he?
popped in like 2 seconds ago.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me share this. Uh, he says, "Everybody's gonna be mad at me. I like the movie." I see. Well, first of all, I'm not mad, and if you give me a $5 super chat, how can I be mad at you or a win? But at the same time, if you enjoyed it, it's fine.
Mhm.
Sorry you have to hear me ranting how much I didn't enjoy it, but I absolutely didn't enjoy it. What can I do, man?
Yeah, so we don't get their superhero origins, and I'm okay with it not telling their origin story yet again. I'm okay with that, but it was just kind of the way it was just sort of like they just moved past it really quick, and they're like, "Oh, look, now we're gonna be the Fantastic Five." So they immediately move into the whole thing with her being pregnant and Franklin coming and everything like that. But yeah, we find out that Susan has made peace deals with Subterranean. So they give us like 2 seconds of all of these different classic Fantastic Four villains that they've fought, and that's all we get, right? Oh, there's Giganto. Oh, he's done. Oh, there's Mole Man. Oh, he's gone. And they made peace with Subterranea. Now they live underground peacefully with us. And then oh yeah, and then they fought the Red Ghost, which we were supposed to get Red Ghost. That was John Malkovich, right? Who was just completely cut from the film.
I
And
don't know
all we
why they
get
cut him from the film. They already have John Malkovich. He was the only person with character.
exactly,
Maybe
and all we get is one. Uh, we get one scene real quick where Reed dispatches one of Red Ghost's super apes, and that's it, right? So yeah, I mean they move so quickly through this. Oh, well, they're the Fantastic Four. Everyone just knows who the Fantastic Four are, and we get the brief introduction. Then we get the scene that we've had since the first teaser that came out, where they're at the dinner table and find out she's pregnant and blah blah blah, right? So then we, again, another scene we've already been shown in the trailers is, the Silver Surfette showing up and saying, "Oh, I herald Galactus," whatever. And they decide, "Oh, well, we're gonna have to go. How do we find Galactus? Well, we're gonna somehow he can't track her because she moves too fast. Reed can't track her, but somehow he can track her energy signature across light years. Not sure how that works, but okay." And then they go out to meet Galactus, which I had some major, I know, super nerdy complaints, super nitpicky complaints about this whole thing, but it bothered me because they hop in their little space jet thing, their little rocket, which they called the Excelsior. I thought that was cute. That was fine. I laughed at that. And they go off to try and find her, see if they can find Galactus. And they have like they have a drive, almost like it's from the prequels, Star Wars prequels, right? Where they have the ship that goes up and then there's the drive just sort of sitting in orbit that lets them travel. They have one of those that goes along with their rocket. They go up and they join up, and that lets them travel faster than light. And they travel. I don't know how far they went. Some of the closest stars are only within a couple of light years, so it had to be quite some distance. But they go to go find Galactus, and that's when Galactus discovers that they're going to have a son, and that he says that their son Franklin is going to be he has the power cosmic and is going to help him rid him of his hunger. We don't really know how all that's going to work, but whatever. And so then after that, he demands that they give up the kid, and he's not going to take Earth if they give up the kid, and of course they're not going to. So they flee, and while they're doing so, she goes into labor, or I guess Galactus sort of forces her to go into labor, whatever. And then there's a whole scene of them. It's Star Wars, right? They get tractor beamed into his Death Star, and then when they escape the Galactus's Death Star, they have to have a fight where they're flying away as fast as they can, and Silver Surfer's following them. So Johnny is in the gun turret at the back trying to shoot her down, just like the escape from the Death Star, which was rather lame. But once they get okay, so one of my super nerdy complaints was that they have to ditch their faster than light drive because they use that as a way to sort of slip away from Shalabal, from the Silver Surfette. But in doing so, they basically have thrown away their ability to get home. So
Right.
if they were to travel home, then they would have to do it under conventional, with their conventional engines. And then they're like, oh well, we're gonna travel at 0.88 light speed or something. And okay, sure, fine. But if you did that, like, the idea of a faster than light drive is that you don't have to deal with time dilation. You can travel from one place to another with the relativistic effects that come with traveling that fast. So they don't have that anymore. Now they have to travel back. Technically, it would take them years in their own time to get back, even traveling at near light speed. And if they were traveling at near light speed, then there would be the relativistic effects where they would only experience 2 or 3 years trying to get back, but the world around them would pass at 2.5 times the speed. So they would have been gone by the time they get back, they would have been gone from Earth for like 5 years. So it's ridiculous. That bugged me. I know it's a super nerdy complaint, but that bugged me. But no, the thing that drove me nuts, they get back to supposedly they're only gone for a month. Somehow they got back in a month, and when they get back, they land, and everyone's like, "What happened? Did you defeat Galactus?" And they immediately go into a press conference after they got back after a month. They just landed. They're at a press conference, and everyone's asking, "Are we safe? Did you defeat Galactus?" Whatever. And Reed just outright tells them, no, he demanded that we give up our child to save the Earth, and we can't give up our child to save the Earth. So literally just openly says, oh, well, we could have saved the Earth, but we didn't because we can't give up our child.
Right.
And at that point, of course, the whole world hates them. Everyone hates them. Because they're like, oh, well, you could have saved us, but you didn't because you won't give up your damn kid. And a lot of people say, well, oh no, they would have. Everybody loves babies, and they wouldn't want to give up. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. You ask any mom. If you're put in a situation where you're like, You know, if that kid over there dies, your children are going to live. That mom's going to say, okay, sorry. Like, all of my kids are going to die and your kid's going to die, or just your kid is going to die. No, go right ahead. Like, they're going to be okay with that. I mean, it's going to be awful, but they're going to do what they have to do to keep their kids safe, to keep their families safe. And so, yeah, they are, pissed. They're super pissed. All they had to do when they got back was for them to not tell them that Galactus demanded the baby. That's all they had to do. But
Right.
it's just so dumb. And from then on, it just gets worse. And that was, I was already bothered by Kirby's performance as Sue and kind of where they had taken her character. But after this point, like she had, like after the whole Galactus thing, she becomes like emotionally like an absolute roller coaster. She's supposed to be like making all of these peace deals with people, and she's kind of the leader, and she's the voice of reason or whatever. After they demand taking her kid, she's like, kill her. What?
There's a
Johnny
lot of
Johnny's like,
stupid
what?
things.
Kill her. She tried to take your nephew. Kill her.
Oh, wait,
And then,
we got a few chats just before you
oh, did we?
continue.
Okay, go ahead.
There's Tim Hayes. He's been a member for 7 months. How's it going, Tim Hayes? Good to see you. Six gave a $1.49 sticker that looks like a cherry pie of sorts.
Slice of pie.
Thank you so much, Six. Nice to see you here. And it's the Phobos now known as Kal-El's Harem says you have an unread Rumble rant. Thank you. Okay, so
Yep.
let me see
Yeah,
what
I was
happened.
gonna come back to that as to no worries. We were
Hold
still
on, let me.
we were still talking about this, so
Okay.
I was gonna come back
Quinn
to it.
is good, but was the most miscast in the whole movie. He had the triple PTSD 1,000 yard stare the whole film. Totally wrong for the happy go lucky Johnny. Sue was such a bitch. Yeah, she was
So
very annoying.
yeah, and that's what I was about to say was after they get back and they're there talking about, well, what their plans are, how are they gonna deal with this with Galactus and whatever, they have a talk. And at one point, uh she literally, I mean, in just verbally just kicks his nuts in, kicks Reed's nuts in, tells him, "Oh, living life with you isn't always easy. You're, like awful." And then she goes out, carries her son, which literally the whole world is screaming for this kid's blood, carries him outside with thousands of people, like no one's gonna mob her and just take the kid. Uh, and gives this speech to everybody about how we're gonna do this all as a family. Mm. And then of course everyone is then with them, and they're ready to fight to protect them and protect
It sounded
their
like that
family.
speech that you got
Uh,
like from Discovery, Star Trek Discovery. We'll
oh
do
yeah,
it together.
we're gonna do it together
It
as a
sounded like the
family.
most kind of lazy modern day bullshit speech. And man, I couldn't take Pedro Pascal. That's really, if I had to do a list with the number one thing that's wrong with the movie, it's Pedro Pascal. And I'm not just saying that because it's Pedro Pascal and he's annoying anyways. I am absolutely telling you that if you don't believe that that guy is Reed Richards, like I said, domino effect. Everything just falls apart if you don't believe that guy, and I don't believe him.
Nope. He
I
just
was
doesn't work at all. And like I said, the chemistry between the two of them is all wrong. She's basically kicking him in the balls about every 15 minutes or so in the movie,
She's so annoying. She's like that
saying
annoying
nasty, awful
ex-girlfriend.
stuff. Yeah.
The annoying ex-girlfriend that you're like, "Man, is she annoying." That's what that lady is.
Sometimes living with you is hard. Stuff like what?
She's like, "In your
Oh,
mind, I know you already thought about it. You already thought about it."
yeah.
Shut up, you
Yeah.
dumb bitch. Shut up. And at least if he would have said that to her, but instead he's like, "Ooh, ooh," he's such a little
Yeah, yeah.
bitch himself, you know what I mean?
And you know what? Yeah, he probably did consider like what would it mean? Like if we give up the child, like what would our plan be? But that's because that's how Reed is. He is thinking of one plan after another. He's thinking of every possible contingency. That's who he is. Yes, he did consider giving up their child and what that would mean and how they could get him back and what would the plan be, because that's who he is. That's how he would think. That's so to bust his balls and tell him, like, "Oh, you're awful because you thought of giving away our son." Like, that's not it doesn't mean that's the only thing that he thought of, but she, of course, jumps in and basically says, "Oh, no, it's the only choice we have. It's our only choice." And then they hatch their absolutely absurd plan to bring Galactus to Earth, which is there is so much about this. There's so many little contrivances that are required for all of this to work, and so many assumptions that they have to make for all of this to work, like, oh well, if we set this up, oh, Galactus is going to come here to take our baby. uh no, why didn't he just send the Silver Surfer to come take your baby? Like, you don't know that Galactus is going to do that. And then there's some other things, like there's the ridiculous plan that they had to try and move the entire Earth to a completely different solar system in the galaxy.
I liked it's the Phobos that he called
Mary
Mary Sue
Sue
Storm. Yeah,
Storm,
that's a
yes.
good way to describe her.
They're going to move the entire Earth to another part of the galaxy. Oh, is we're gonna move it to the habitable zone of a different star or whatever. Okay, are you gonna take the moon with you? Because without the moon, a lot of stuff on our planet ain't gonna work right anymore. Are you gonna make sure you're getting it to a star that puts out exactly the right amount of energy and it's in exactly the right place so that it doesn't mess up all of these different cycles that happen here on Earth? Like, it's such a ridiculously stupid idea, especially when they've never tested this teleporting technology with anything better than a freaking egg. So it's just such a dumb idea. And then they build out this teleportation technology in, like, they say, like, 36 hours. They build like 3 dozen of these towers all over the planet in like 36 hours. It's
It's so stupid.
absolutely absurd.
I saw that Marla Chernoff said that she liked the first Fantastic Four movie. I assume that she's talking about the first one with the Jessica Alba cast.
Yeah, probably 2005. Yeah.
I want to tell you something. First of all, you're not going to believe this. I think that the Roger Corman movie, yes, I know it's cheaply made. Yes, I know it's ridiculous. But you know what? Had more heart than this movie. At least
Absolutely.
there's a bit of charm there, even though they had like a budget of $3. You at least feel that there's some kind of passion and fun and something going on there that I didn't feel in this movie. Then you have the first Jessica Alba and Friends movie. I will tell you that that is the superior movie. Yes, it made mistakes, and yes, there were stupid things in it, but you know what? There was fun. There was fun to be had in that movie, and you know what? The casting, a million times better than here. That cast with Ion Grufford or whatever his name is, Jessica Alba, uh, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, and Michael Chiklis's Thing, all of them. I would take that cast any day of the week over this one. And the dumb thing is, this is on Earth 828 anyways, this movie. So if he was going to choose actors that are the same age as what those actors were pretty much, why didn't he just bring those actors? You know what I mean? Why didn't he just go and bring the same actors? And he could have done a movie where maybe they have a teenage Franklin, and maybe he finds a way at the end to like bring Franklin, their son, into the MCU, into like his cinematic universe, and not the Earth 828 one, but the 616. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is he had something really easy. He could have done like a little bit of nostalgia, brought people that people already like, that are established, and then especially if he doesn't want to show their origin, these guys. I don't like the idea of not showing the origin. The reason is because we don't know why we're supposed to care about them. You know what I mean? When you just start and they're already there, I feel like that lowers the investment. I felt that same way about Superman. And you know what? I can even reach a compromise. I could have compromised with both James Gunn and Kevin Feige, and I'll tell you how I could have compromised. You don't want to show an origin story? Fine. But you know what you need to do? Start the movie where there's some kind of crisis and immediately show how the Fantastic Four show up, like in that original movie when they're on a bridge the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever it is, and they save everybody. Have there be some kind of crisis. The Fantastic Four show up, show that they're heroes, show what they do and why people think they're heroes. Have them do something heroic. Let them stop some kind of bad thing from happening, and you already maybe like them a bit, and then start showing the different relationships between them and what's going on. Maybe you have a few people a little more invested. What do? They do the exposition dump. There's some TV thing. Oh, look here, they got their powers from a cosmic ray. Here you go. Here. You see, they're against the Red Ghost, whatever it is. They cut John Malkovich out. They're talking about him, don't even show him.
Yeah.
It was so stupid. It was so fucking stupid. And then immediately, like the next thing you see after they just took all the shortcuts in the world, gave you no investment. Why on earth would I care now that she's pregnant and sitting on her toilet if I haven't even seen her do anything? I disagree with not showing the origin. If you're trying to reboot it and you're trying to start a new thing and you refuse to take the cast of people that people already acknowledged were the Fantastic Four and you didn't want to do anything with them, then at least give something, do something with them. This lazy approach with this terrible screenplay, this telenovela atmosphere, it's shit. And then at the end, when you saw the red carpet, I saw Ian Grufford arrive on the red carpet. Ian Grufford hasn't looked so youthful and in good shape in years. He showed up looking like he needs to be Reed Richards. Did you see him on the red carpet?
He looked like Reed Richards on the red carpet.
On the red carpet, you're like, why isn't he in the movie? It's not a Kelly McGillis type of situation. And also, mind you, Jessica Alba is not a Kelly McGillis type of situation either. Plus, they could have introduced like a teenage Franklin, which I think would have been cool, because then you have it makes sense that they're a little older now and that this is going on, and it would have worked with like whatever Kevin Feige is cooking if he wants like a new generation or whatever it is. It would have worked for everybody. It was the obvious creative choice, and Kevin Feige couldn't put one and one together. And you know what? I would have accepted everything. People, when they saw Christian Bale as Batman and Batman Begins, some people were like, well, what are they doing here? Why are they rebooting it? But then people watched the movie, maybe not enthusiastically at first. They watched that. They watched The Dark Knight. And slowly you're like, okay, I get what they were trying to do here. But Kevin Feige, this isn't a Batman Begins. Fantastic Four is not a Batman Begins. This is just a bullshit movie made by a guy who probably should have retired. And I think that after Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, or whatever it is that he's doing, I think that he should retire and that the brand should take a 5-year hiatus and everybody should just stop even thinking about this MCU for a while. So maybe somebody will actually miss it and remember the fonder times of it and not the shitty, later years. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, and it's definitely gotten bad. This was such a tough watch. Again, there were things about this that I thought were fine. There were some places where the comedy worked. There were some places where some of the actors worked well together and I didn't have a problem with, but there were so many places where it just did not work at all. And I was just extremely bothered by just the tone that they decided to take with some of the characters and the direction that they went. It's hard to even talk about like how much of this like I thought actually worked and how little of it I thought worked, because there was quite a bit of this that just didn't work for me at all. So
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And I want to again show this this Rotten Tomatoes thing.
Yep. And then we got a post-credit sequence so I can ruin it for everybody. It's a complete nothing burger. There is absolutely nothing post-credits that is worth anything. If you do go to see this, don't waste your time.
I mean, the first one, you seemingly see Doom, and you don't see his face because I guess they couldn't get Robert Downey Jr. to be in it or
he
something. He
says nothing. He does nothing. There is no plot point. Nothing has changed other than you see a guy in a green cloak from behind who's holding a mask. And we already know that Doctor Doom is going to be part of the next movie. They literally named it after him. So it tells you nothing you didn't already know. It's a complete waste of time. And then the little bit that comes at the other little thing
It's
afterward is
nothing.
just it was just the intro to the in-universe cartoon, which, if I'm not mistaken, has already been shared on the internet. So
It was such a bunch of nothing. And I wanna tell you something else. First of all, I wanna share with the critics here in this thing. I do not believe this. This doesn't represent real critics. This is not representative of what that movie is. And you can say, well, it's a matter of taste. It's a matter of taste. You're right. I still think that there's something wrong with this score. It's not that kind of movie. 88%. It has to be like almost like a grand slam type of movie. This is not a grand slam movie. If I would have looked at it and they would have given it like the critics, it would have been something between 60 to 70. I would have said, you know what, maybe that is kind of what the score is for them. I would give it lower, but it's fine. 88% not representative. And the popcorn meter, I don't think that represents anything. I want to tell you something that I don't know if I told you this, Professor. When I saw the movie, I don't think I told you. I got up and I was kind of interested in seeing what other people felt. You know how you get up from a movie and you feel a certain amount like of electricity of
mhm,
people that are happy?
yeah.
You know, you can kind of tell when you're at a movie that was good or if you were at a movie that sucked. And when I was at Superman, I got up and I saw that some people seemed happy and some people didn't seem happy. That's how I felt. And as I was walking out and some people were all talking to each other, and myself included, there were people that didn't like the movie and people that loved the movie. And I even felt that walking out of the theater. In this case, with the Fantastic Four, it was like quiet. There was like a very quiet feeling that everybody's just kind of going out. I don't hear anybody like chuckling or happy or sad or anything, just kind of this kind of numbness that nobody cares. And I saw this group of people walking next to me, and just out of curiosity, because I was doing like my own cinema score, and I said, "Hey, you know, what'd you think of this movie?" And then, you know, a few people were there like, it was okay. What did you think of it? I said, I thought it sucked. I said like that was so boring. And then they looked at me almost relieved that I said that. And they're like, yeah, it was really underwhelming. Like I was like very lackluster this movie. I said, yes, it was. Like they felt bad saying that before I said that it was bad. And the second I said it, they're like all telling me that they thought it was
Yep,
boring and they didn't like it. And then,
yep.
but like one of them said, "Well, I really hope that those Avengers movies that they're talking about that because at the end there's like the Fantastic Four will return and Avengers whatever. Really hope that Avengers movie is better than this one." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think that everybody hopes that." And that was the final thing that I talked to this group of people. But it was just strange that I feel like it almost felt like a Last Jedi situation that maybe they felt bad because not everybody is savvy like us. They probably look at Rotten Tomatoes. They think everybody loves it. I should love it too because they don't understand that this whole thing is like. Sorry, I don't know if the word is right to say here, but it's like a psyop. You know what I mean? This is not representative of anything. This score. This is complete and absolute bullshit. Sorry, Sean. And I feel like they didn't want to admit it. But if you give them the feeling that it's okay, they admitted what I thought.
Hmm. Let's see.
I did see some people in there with the robot. I don't know if the robot was like a popcorn thing. I don't know why they were
Yeah,
buying
it
that
was
robot.
it's got, the Herbie thing. I honestly didn't mind Herbie in this too much. I thought it was fine. I felt like maybe he should have more to do, but it was fine. Like, he was basically the maid and the nurse.
Mephisto's movie review says Price, the crowd I was with, was happy and chatty, so we had a completely opposite experience. Well, we did see it in a different market. Maybe in your market
Yep.
they like it more. I all I know is that this didn't look like and mind you, I was at like a 2 p.m. showing where that was for most of the general public, at least in my area, that was the first moment you could see the movie. So people that were there were like with the Herbie merch stuff, and the people that were there were basically excited to be there. And there were people in the theater, I'll give you that. It wasn't an empty theater. There was actually a lot of people in the theater and they all wanted to be there. But the fact that they were, and I didn't feel that like positive energy walking out wasn't a good sign. Even more so, I'll say, I don't think the normies are going to like it that much. I don't think the normies are going to absolutely devour this thing. Personally,
There
I don't know.
Yep, I mean, this is gonna get this will get the same audience that Brave New World and Thunderbolts got. It's going to get the people who are still interested in the MCU despite all the stuff that has happened. It's going to get the same people who are still willing to give the MCU a chance. This is not going to bring in huge numbers of your average movie going public. They're not going to be flocking to see this. They have given up on the MCU. I am still sticking with my original projection. My original projection for Superman was 675. I'm still sticking with it. My original prediction for this was 415. I'm still sticking with it. I do not think this is going to be the movie that brings back the MCU into the $800 million. It's just not going to happen. People have basically checked out. And if you saw that Thunderbolts reviewed like crazy, people talked about loving it. I'll be honest, it wasn't a terrible movie. It was all right. It was kind of boring, but it was okay. It had a lot of characters in it that a lot of people had no idea who the hell they were. But
Fantastic Four bored me more. I'll say
this,
that the
yeah,
the first act of Thunderbolts, when they're kind of getting to know each other, that one was kind of moving along slowly. I will say that once they kind of shifted into the second act, the movie picked up its pace, and I feel like from somewhere in like the second act till like the end, it actually was rather smooth sailing. It wasn't a great movie. I didn't walk out thinking this is the best thing that the MCU has ever done. I thought that, like we've said, and a lot of other people have said, that amidst so much of the crap that we've seen in recent years, it was, if nothing else, just like a lower mid to lower tier Marvel movie that did nothing spectacular but wasn't overly offensive, and you could just spend a few mindless hours in the theater watching. But honestly, Fantastic Four bored me more. I can't explain it to you. I really wanted to go to sleep, like especially in that part where like they're in space and they're about to talk to Galactus. I lost a minute of the movie. I don't know what happened in that minute, and I guess it didn't matter because there were
nope.
probably some violins playing, and Storm was probably barking at Reed Richards or something.
Yep.
I'll live without that minute.
Fantastic Four. They just kept going back to that over and over again.
Such an annoying. It's all very very annoying.
Just
So
bad. And it was Michael Giacchino.
which he's not considered bad, and that's why I'm saying maybe
No.
it's not his fault. If maybe they gave him the movie and they said, "Listen, this movie is boring as fuck. Sorry, Sean. And we have no choice. Bring out the violins. Bring out the violins." The problem also with the violins is that there's always this like somber music in the background. So if you wanted to have a little bit of fun here, I'm not saying you need to have a lot of fun, but even a little bit of levity almost never lands because like the music is always this like serious violin. So even when there's a part where Johnny Storm is trying to be a little, or maybe together with a thing, trying to a little bit of levity, doesn't go anywhere. Not to mention that I also didn't like the say the thing, clobbering down. I can't stand that either.
Yeah. Yeah, no, again, not everything's gonna work for everybody, and we all have I thought the stuff between Johnny and Ben worked fine. I thought it was actually fascinating. I couldn't believe that a Disney movie would include characters who are ethnically Jewish. I was really surprised by that. But maybe that's gonna slip by most of the normies when they see when they see this film. But, yeah, they actually
Did they even mention that throughout the thing? I'm trying to think.
it is not said. It is not said, but just so you know, canonically in the comics, Ben Grimm is Jewish. There's even an episode,
Right,
even
but
a
I don't
comic
remember in
where
the
he had.
movie them mentioning it.
Okay, so they didn't mention it. It's not said, but so remember the scene when he's picking up the car for the kids. There's a kid standing by the fence, and they're like, "Hey, pick up the car," whatever. It was actually in the trailers. Uh,
Yes.
they are at a synagogue. If you look, the fence that is there has the Star of David on it.
I
And
didn't even
so,
notice that. You
yeah,
know what?
so
I wasn't even looking. What I noticed is that you had Natasha Lyonne, who
yes.
is like, I'll tell you this: she's one of the most annoying actresses in Hollywood. But oddly, this movie has had people that are like much more annoying than
Even
her.
more annoying than her, yeah.
That they made her look less annoying. Meaning, if Reed Richards wasn't Pedro Pascal, and if Vanessa Kirby wasn't Sue Storm, and we kept seeing Natasha Lyonne in the movie, I tell you, you know what? She's the most annoying person in the movie. But now she's like a footnote. She's a footnote in annoying characters in a movie. I almost don't even think about her at all. Like they gave her such a minor role that she
Yeah.
didn't have time to annoy me as much as she's
Yeah.
capable of
Oh,
doing.
she has a super minor role. Yeah, she's only in 3 or 4 minutes of the whole movie. But yeah, she plays a teacher who works at this school, and then you do see her later. Ben comes to visit her, and they are actually. It does appear that they're in a synagogue or something, because there's scrolls on the wall. There's Jewish, writing, Hebrew and stuff, writing, and and she does ask. She says, "Are you here for spiritual guidance or something?" And he basically
Yes,
brushes it
now it's all
off.
making sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at myself that I missed all of this. Maybe I was too bored to even notice. But yes, the spiritual guidance, and then he's like, "No, I came to see you."
No,
So yeah,
I'm here to
I
see
agree
you.
with
Yeah.
you. That does happen in there. Relatively speaking, she's not as annoying as you think that she would
Yeah.
be. They also, a lot of times on that stupid poker face show, she has this kind of frizzy hair, and they make her act even more annoying. It's like a Ryan Johnson show that he ripped off Columbo and put
Yeah.
her in there to be like a female Columbo type of character. And man, that show annoys me. But and she annoys me on that show. But at least like they didn't make her look all weirdo like she is on that show.
Yeah.
Somebody came and like ironed her hair and like made her, they did whatever they could for her to look as less weird, and made her act as least annoying as she can be. That's one of the movie's achievements, that Natasha Lyonne is actually not the most annoying person you'll see on screen. It's a big feat.
Mhm. Yeah. So I'm trying.
Well,
What?
how did other people feel? Am I the only one that didn't like? I'm probably the harshest critic of this movie. I don't know why. I couldn't get over it. Like I can't force myself to like it. And yes,
Yeah.
I have trouble admitting this, but Superman was at least a movie that was less boring. I had my issues with it, and I don't particularly like it, but I wouldn't say that Superman bored me.
Well, I will say a lot of people are going to argue about whether or not Sue Storm is a girl boss, quote unquote. Um, I'm sorry, she is. She's a
100%.
she is shown repeatedly. She's in charge of everything. She's always right. She's the one who makes the peace treaty. She's the one who can sit down and talk to Mole Man, because Reed is just too emotional, so she can talk to Mole Man. She's the one who goes out and makes the speech that gets the world behind them, so that they can, get together and they can save Franklin and they can save the rest of the world. She is the one who is able to go out and use her powers to go toe to toe with a celestial demigod and push him back, all by herself. To me, that's Girl Boss 101.
She's a complete girl boss. I don't know who would say that she wasn't a girl boss. She is
Well, they say,
100%.
well, she failed at the end because Galactus actually gets back through the little rift or whatever. Like, no, I'm sorry, no. She by herself pushes
Yeah, she's the big
Galactus,
hero.
an enormous, ultra powerful, essentially a demigod, pushes him around with her powers. They show her stepping forward. They make it. There's a special intentional shot where you watch her feet, where she's pushing with
She's the only hero.
powers
She's the
and
only hero.
walking forward and shoving. I will say that. I will say this. At least they didn't have Reed just sitting in an armchair being cucked during during the final battle. He actually does swing into action, uses his powers. He rescues Franklin from Galactus. At least he's a part of it. He's not just sitting there waiting for someone else to handle it. They all have their parts to play, but it's just like there's just these screaming liberal white women, and just no.
But
She was
to be
totally
fair,
a girl boss in this.
there is rumors that there was a lot of some kind of reshoots after poor audience
Oh, I'm
testing.
certain there was. Yeah, the last act, the third act, is choppy. It looks like they cut that together from 5 different films. It's
They
real
did that because
sloppy.
I think that people complained that the men didn't have any moment to shine, so they tried to make them shine more, but at the end of the day, I know that, like, I don't know if this is a reshoot or not, but in a way, they gave Johnny a Finn Last Jedi moment. He's like, "I'm gonna, tell your uncle this and this." Basically, you can consider it a spoiler or not. At the end, like Johnny steps up and he wants to be the one to
He's gonna
push.
sacrifice himself.
He's gonna
Exactly.
sacrifice
It's a Finn.
to
It's
save.
exactly like Finn.
He
Like,
wants to sacrifice himself. You see him, like, take charge, do the thing. He's already telling them, like, tell Franklin that, like, his uncle did this for him, loves him, or whatever it is. And he like goes and he does the sacrifice at the last second before, like, he actually does something heroic. Silver Surf. Sorry, it's a spoiler. The Silver Surfer lady kicks him out, just like boots him out, like
just
kicks
yeah,
him to like
slams into him with this with the
slams him away.
surfboard.
He's like ricocheting off into nowhere. And she goes and she stops Galactus because at the end only women can stop Galactus.
Yes.
And that's how the movie ends. Like, that's basically the moral of the story here, that only women can get it done. And
Yep.
yes, they made it seem like Reed Richards and Johnny and the Thing had something to do in this fight a bit. But the truth is, you could tell, I really believe that a lot of that was part of the reshoots. Initially, from what I remember, the test screening said the ending was even more girl bossy. It's just that everybody got really annoyed. And then I guess they tried to make it a little less obvious, but there's only so much less obvious you can make it. Plus, the two main things here, like the Sue Storm and the Silver Surfette lady being the heroes, can't really change that. That actually still happens.
Hmm. Yeah. At the very least, yeah. Some of the early rumors were that basically Silver Surfette just defeated Galactus by herself. Like everything the Fantastic Four did was a failure. Like no one, they were nothing that they did actually made any difference. And I will say that in that, as it's cut back and forth, there is some stuff that I think works. It does feel that final the battle with Galactus does feel rather desperate. There's places where they're clearly they're doing stuff and just nothing feels like it's working. Nothing feels like it's even stopping him as he moves forward. But that makes it even more ridiculous when Sue steps up with her mama bear energy and suddenly is able to control this creature that is not only insanely powerful, but 400 times her size.
I would take Jessica Alba as Sue Storm any day of the week over whatever this was. I would take that any day of the week. You can say whatever you want. You could say, well, maybe Jessica Alba isn't the world's greatest actress. You know what? She's the greatest actress for me. I will take Jessica Alba over Vanessa Kirby. I'm gonna go even further here and say I like Jessica Alba in that role. I thought that she brought a lot of character to the table. She was pleasant, and I always was happy when she was on screen. Do you
Yes.
get what I'm saying, Professor?
She's lovely to look at. I think she's a decent actress. I thought she did fine in that role
Did
in
the best she could,
those
Professor.
films.
She did
It
the best she could. She
well,
was given the
with those
material.
dreadful scripts, yes, she did
She did the
fine.
best she could with the material, but you know what? Sometimes you have situations where a movie isn't that good, but let's say you have a cast of characters that at least have come to have a little bit of fun, and I think that helps. I will still tell you that the Thunderbolts, one of the reason why I like it more than this one is that I do feel like the cast there came to have a little more fun. It may not be the best
Sure.
cast, it may not be particularly good screenplay. It was underwhelming and forgettable, but with all of that being said, there was a little bit of spark of fun somewhere in there. Whereas Fantastic Four is anti-fun. There's not even a moment. There's not like you said with the car seat at the end with the baby car seat. Maybe that was a little bit of fun, but like out of 2 hours of a movie to have like 15 seconds of levity or something with all those violins, it's just unacceptable.
Yeah. I didn't particularly like the the thing at the end with the child safety seat. Some people did. I kind of rolled my eyes at it, but
It
there's
wasn't my favorite
three
thing either.
three
I think
men and they none of them can figure out how to get it done. and Sue's standing back there rolling her eyes or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I was just being oversensitive. I will say, having been in that position, trying to get those things into a car, get a car seat, the belts and how you have to loop it through and how confusing it is. Yeah, that's a funny joke. If you're a parent, yes, that's difficult. But that the three guys can't get it figured out, and first of all, that they wouldn't have already had a car seat in the car in the first place, or that Reed wouldn't have designed some special magical car seat thing for him to sit in.
By the way, if you're, I forgot to say, if you're watching on Rumble and you're watching through the app and you haven't yet signed up, sign up. It's free. And also follow us. You always know when we're streaming. Or if you're already on the app and you haven't followed us yet, you should do it. We love hanging out with people here. And there's a nice crowd here tonight. And we always enjoy hanging out. And you should certainly follow us. If you're on YouTube, maybe you're subscribed to my main channel and you haven't yet subscribed to this one. Or I don't know how you stumbled upon this stream. And probably you're asking yourself the same question. You're still welcome to subscribe. That's always a great way to support us beyond all the wonderful super chats and all the things that people have been and Rumble rants that people have been giving. So that's that. Empress and M said he got Rose T code. Johnny Storm, he absolutely did. And Phantom Monk says Alba played it cute and fun. That helps.
Mm-hmm.
The chemistry of the original cast was good chemistry, and it starts with Reed Richards. I at the time liked Reed Richards, but now looking at it, I really like that Reed Richards. I will arguably say that Ian Grufford was the best Reed Richards that I've seen in a cinematic form until today. He gets the prize. I will prefer him over those other ones, over Miles Teller and Fan Four Stick, which was a terrible movie. I like Miles Teller. He's not a bad actor. That was a very crappy movie. I can't take that seriously. Pedro Pascal. The question is, who's worse? Man, I guess, you know what? Miles Teller is better than Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal is the worst.
Yes.
What's the
I
actor?
I
Who's
actually
the
like Miles Teller as an actor. I think he's very, very good at his craft, and I've enjoyed a few different roles. But yes, unfortunately, Fantastic or Fanforstic was a disastrous mess. Not even Miles Teller could bring that up in quality.
Yeah, that's true. Hypnocraft says I saw Fanheads 4. It was fucking awesome. First of all, I'm happy for anybody that liked it. I
Yep.
never am upset. I always say this, even people that like Superman, if I didn't like it, I'm always happy. I'm even jealous. I'm jealous that somebody else went and sat and was like, I love it. I'm really, really jealous. I wish I had that experience. For me, I didn't. I was disappointed with both movies. I had hoped that both of those movies, Superman and Fantastic Four, would be better than they were. If they were even something in the way I score things, something in the 70s, both of them, I would have been okay with that. To have them either one barely get a passing grade and the other one a failure for me is not a good thing. But if you enjoyed it, it's super cool that you did. Kayla Levine, I disagree. Price John Krasinski was a better Mr. Fantastic. We got robbed of seeing him in a real Fantastic Four movie. He probably could have been decent, but the only thing is, all I know is that stupid spaghetti thing where like his head becomes spaghetti and he dies. And I can't get that out of my mind, so I could never probably take him seriously because that's the only thing I remember him from. They use that actor as a gag. If I was John Krasinski, I
Yeah, they used him
would
as
have
a gag. Exactly.
would have never shown up for that. If they would have called me and said, "Hey, John, you want to be here and we'll make you like a stupid spaghetti thing that dies," I would have said like, "No, fuck you. I'll see you later." Sorry, Sean. That's what I would have said because it's not like that movie. That 2 minutes that he was in that movie, I bet you they didn't pay him like $1 gazillion for. It was on like on the level of a brief cameo. You know what I mean? So for a
Mm-hmm.
stupid cameo of them like making me look like an idiot, I probably would have steered away from it. That's just me. But maybe if we under different circumstances, maybe he would have been good, better than Pedro Pascal for sure. For sure, he would have been better than Pedro Pascal, no doubt about it. And if you insisted on somebody a little younger than Ian Grufford or whatever, maybe you could have brought John Krasinski.
Yeah, and
Who
John
was
Krasinski would have brought some humor and a little bit of humility to the role. I would have been fine with him. I like
yeah,
John Krasinski.
Phantom Monk? That is the Office guy. The Office guy is John
Yeah, the guy from The
Krasinski.
Office. Yep.
So uh, I guess who was the actor that played him in the Corman one?
Oh, I don't remember.
Whoever that is, I would take him over Pedro Pascal too. I
I would take
basically
that whole movie after over this one.
Right. I mean, like maybe that movie had campy, it was very campy, and the effects looked like you and I drew them with a pencil. There was a lot of like weird things happening in that movie. But you know what? You told me to watch it sometime recently, and I watched it, and I'll be darned if it didn't put a smile on my face here and
Yeah.
there. For whatever it
Alex
was,
Alex Hyde White was Dr. Reed Richards.
you know what? I'll take any of those actors, any of the actors that played Reed Richards to date. If I had to choose, Pedro Pascal is less than all of them. I would take any of them. Just don't make me see him as Reed Richards again. Would have taken all of them. Any
Mm,
of them are better.
yeah,
But for me personally, I still
just
think that Ian
Pedro.
Grufford probably, I liked him even then. Even then when I saw the movies, I thought to myself, the cast is good. I wish they gave him a screenplay that was a bit better, but even so, there was fun to be had, especially the first movie. The first Jessica Alba movie was fun. The second one had elements of fun and some stuff that started becoming annoying, but I still like the cast. They just needed a
Mhm.
better screenplay.
Yep, indeed.
Mr.
So yeah,
Mediocre, Pedro
oh, go ahead.
Pascal. I think that Pedro Pascal is a character actor. And I think that in certain situations, he's suitable. And I'll tell you what those situations are. For the most part, if you need somebody that's kind of like moody or somber, something like that, I think that he's not bad for that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
When I think of somebody full of like charisma that's really like carrying a movie and whatever, I don't really think of Pedro Pascal. When I think of somebody that's kind of like moody and somber and grim, usually that's like the face that he makes. The only time that I thought that he was a little, different than that was in that movie with Nicolas Cage, which required him to do something a little bit more quirky. He was also kind of a weirdo in that movie, which maybe it wasn't like a straight up comedy. His role, he was kind of a weirdo comedic role, so maybe it somehow worked. But for the most part, he's not just a one size fits all. You don't just throw him into every role. He's not that good. I mean, there's other actors which are really good actors, and they're not good in every role.
nope. Not everybody is right for every role. I have heard repeatedly rumors that Disney uh, demanded, so Disney higher ups, executives demanded that they have a non-white read for this film. And so Pedro was their choice from there. I don't know if that's true. But why else would you pick Pedro? I mean, seriously. He
I think
doesn't fit the role at all.
But by the way, they could have taken the original cast of the one from the two movies, and they would have had their diversity there. And I don't think anybody would have cared. It wouldn't have been with Reed Richards; it would have been with Sue Storm. But I don't think anybody cared. See, people don't remember this now, but back in the day, I think people were like didn't care so much about all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I I I remember the 90s and the early 2000s when we all kind of really didn't argue too much about race, and it wasn't really something that we sat around and thought about everybody's immutable characteristics and how that's going to change them somehow. Like you were just sort of defined by the content of your character. Seems like there was somebody that talked about that at one point.
Empress and M, he's their stockhouse gamer word. I think I know. I think I understand what you're trying to say, although it's kind of in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
Pedro is no Ralph Fiennes or Gary Oldman. He has no range. You're right. There's certain things he can do. He can't just do everything. And this movie, first and foremost, needed a guy that feels like he's a leader. If there's one thing in common, both with Superman and with this movie, there's one thing in common that whoever is supposed to be a heroic male doesn't feel heroic to me. There's never a moment where there's a guy steps up and you feel like, okay, yeah, that guy's a real hero. They give those moments to other people in the movie in both cases. In this case, they gave it to Sue Storm and to the Silver Surfette, but they don't give it to any dudes really. And the same thing I felt in Superman, that because he's like getting his ass kicked every second, I never felt in the movie that he kind of steps up and he's like the big hero that everybody like recognizes. I just that was missing for the Superman movie to me, that annoyed me. And I feel like it's the same stupid thing here. Even though like South Park and everybody thinks, oh well, woke is dead and all that stuff, obviously it's still somehow sitting here. The question, if these movies are just like left over from the old guard, and now there's going to be like a lot less of it, or they're just looking for more quiet ways to shove it in there.
Yeah. Oh, there was what was I thinking of? There was definitely some messaging that got squeezed in here. If you'll there was one place, what was oh, yeah, so, you remember that, Pedro at one point, Reed, yeah, I can't call him Reed because he's not really Reed, he's Pedro, is looking at this machine that he says he was gonna use this machine to learn who his son Franklin is, to help analyze him and help him know what he would look like when he grew up and stuff. But he turns off the machine. He's like, "I'm not going to use this because I'm going to let you decide who you are." Hmm.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Red flag. I'm going to let you decide. I'm going to let the child decide who they want to be, who they are. Uh huh. Yeah, and you're not going to introduce him to any material along the way that might influence him one way or the other, like reading him anti-racist baby or any of that other stuff. Like, jeez. Yeah, it's yeah, there's plenty of stuff in here. The men are generally ineffective at what they're doing. The women always getting things done, and then yeah, some other more subtle messaging things in this.
Yeah. Well, I think that we've shared our thoughts about this movie. Uh,
Indeed.
I don't know if other people loved it or not. I can't pretend to like something I didn't like, and I feel very strongly about my opinions.
Yep. As I said, I didn't hate this. I, was this better than Superman? Worse than Super? Uh, I think I had more fun watching Superman in the theater. I had a lot of complaints about Superman, but I also had a lot higher expectations for Superman. Didn't really have great expectations for this film, if you can imagine.
I guess.
But you know, yeah, I wasn't there. There were times when, yes, I was definitely bored in the theater. Like I said, there was one moment that I like kind of nodded off for a second. I was like, oh, that doesn't usually happen in the theater. So, yeah, like I said, for me, it's this is kind of a just barely a pass. It's not great. It's not terrible. There's definitely worse films that have been made in the MCU. There's things like Brave New World, Quantumania that are just cringe inducing from start to finish, where you can't
This
even believe this movie got made. And this one it's a step above that, but it's not much further.
it's above, let's say, Eternals, and it's above
Yeah.
Captain Falcon America. It's above those two movies. It's above, let's say, the Marvels. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I can give you some movies that it's above, but man, I can't give you a ton of them. You know what I mean? Maybe this is above, like, or on par, maybe above or on par with. Maybe it's above Ant-Man 2. You know what I mean? Like there's some of those kind of Marvel movies that I always think about that are like the worst ones. Maybe it's better than like Wakanda Forever. Uh
Yeah, I would say it's better than Wakanda Forever. Yeah.
there's like a handful of movies that I can say that this is above, but honestly, I would say that like if it goes toe to toe with Thunderbolts, somehow the Thunderbolts annoyed me less than this. I'm not saying
Okay.
the Thunderbolts is a great movie. I gave it something in the 60s, and it wasn't like a flying colors review. I just said that as a dumb, stupid movie that I had no expectations from, I had some mild fun watching. Couldn't even say that about Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four actively annoyed me, so that's an issue. If I feel annoyed, it's not good. Read by Nature said it still sounds like Disney is staffed with true believers. Having a backlog of crap is one thing, but Feige is still signaling like a 2016 bedroom feminist. You're probably right.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
I
then
I am baffled by some of the recent interviews that have been done with Kevin Feige, where he's really just kind of laying it all out there saying, "Oh, yeah, we don't have scripts for movies. I've never made an MCU movie I was happy with. We have to change all these things, and we're gonna, we don't even need scripts. We're just gonna, shoot things here and there." And word is that's what's happening with Doomsday right now, is that there is no script. There is a director, someone on stage or no, on the, on the lot filming from notes in a notebook. And that I just that is going to be a disaster.
why does
I
this want me to watch Roger Waters? This is not a drill.
I don't
Absolutely do
know.
not want to watch that.
It says now playing.
Now playing where? Where the
There's no reviews of it, so I don't know.
it's
Look,
not playing
Last
anywhere.
Swim, it has a
It was
100%.
released May 25th, 2023. Where is this stupid thing playing? Nowhere.
It's a live broadcast from Prague. Yeah, who knows?
That happened 2 years ago. Don't even know what you want. I
It's
I
time travel.
would not watch this stupid thing. I mean, mind you, not that I'm gonna start getting into this, Roger Waters back in the day, certainly had something to offer when it came to music, but in more recent years, he's a bitter, miserable activist, unfortunately, and, just unbearable. Anyhow, I guess what was the next thing on our list? Uh, I would say it was something more positive, but it's not. There's, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan passed away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've lost a bunch of people this week. It's been wild, that have passed away in the last couple of weeks.
Well, let's, first of all, we can, talk about, Hulk Hogan. I'll tell you the truth. I am not the biggest wrestling guy in the world, okay? But I will say that you ever asked me if there's wrestlers that I like or wrestlers that at least when they were around got me at least mildly interested in something, I would say that that's Hulk Hogan. My first time seeing him was in Rocky 3, which was as a kid, saw that in the theater very young. One of the early movies that I saw was Rocky 3. Loved that movie. Hulk Hogan was in it. That movie like introduced me to people like Mr. T, Hulk Hogan, Sylvester Stallone I already knew, but that movie is like amazing. Like it had a really impacted me as a kid, and Hulk Hogan was in that movie, so I already knew who he was. And then you had all these kind of WWF and things like that. It was called WWF back then, and I liked seeing him that kind of setting. Those were the days where I took a little more interest in things like that. As the years went by and it started becoming more like WWE and then all this other stuff, it wasn't the same for me. uh, I think that as a kid, those kind of early days, those are things that I liked. But the one thing I absolutely did like was Hulk Hogan, even when he popped up on other kind of shows or movies or whatever it is. He was a kind of interesting, larger than life type of character. I know some people like him more, some people like him less, but like, what his work or whatever it is. But I've always, thought he was cool. And in that sense, even though I'm not like Mr. Wrestling that until this day I watch it like every second, I actually do like Hulk Hogan.
Yep, I was never a huge fan of wrestling. Back in the 80s, there was a, a time there where it got huge, like insanely. It was everywhere. Hulk Hogan had a Saturday morning cartoon show. Wrestling was big business. Not to say it's not today, but it was more like part of even just sort of normal cultural stuff, not just people who were into wrestling. And so I was never really big into wrestling, but it was just something that you got, just sort of became part of the culture. I saw the Saturday morning cartoon show. I watched some of the wrestling because there were these big personalities, and Hulk Hogan was always at the very front of that, right? He was always the guy who he had that personality, he's doing you can even in that little pose right there, you're seeing that the Hulkamania and him, tearing his shirt off and ooh, brother, stuff that he would get into. And it was fantastic. It was this great act. And you know, like I said, never really been huge into this, but back in the day, all those personalities, you had him and Andre the Giant and Hacksaw and
Yeah, yeah.
there's all of these others that they were all part of this really sort of golden age of wrestling back in the mid 80s. And it was it was just part of the culture. Everyone sort of saw a little bit of this. WWF was a huge thing, and the Hulk Hogan was right at the front of that. And it was really tragic to hear, just sort of having passed so quickly from a heart attack suddenly. But um, you know, eh, when I think of wrestling, there's never going to be a time when I'm ever not going to be thinking of Hulk Hogan.
That's the thing, and I think I saw a tweet from Jeremy, from Geeks and Gamers, that he wrote something like that, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, that whole wrestling industry wouldn't even be what it was, and I
No,
100% agree with Jeremy on this. I as a
absolutely.
kid I would not even know what wrestling was without Hulk Hogan, and it's like I said, I saw Rocky 3, and I'm like, "Okay, who's that guy?" And then people, "Oh, it's Hulk Hogan. I just saw him in the Rocky movie." And then he was doing wrestling, and the fact that I even was watching some of it and even taking any interest is only because of that guy. And for me, he was bigger than the sport. As the years went by, I may not sit around and watch like every time he's doing wrestling. I know who Hulk Hogan is. I generally like him. You know what I mean? So for me, I think that Hulk Hogan not only introduced people to that sport, he transcended it as this kind of larger than life pop culture personality. When you think of the '80s, when you think of these type of personalities in the '80s, he is absolutely one of those people. You know what I mean? He's one of those pop culture icons of the '80s. You could say also later the '90s, and even until his death, you always knew who he was. I personally, it's hard not to, for me. I don't know. I always liked it, so certainly sad, and he certainly had his presence, and that's what I think about that. In addition, Suburban Commando has to be my favorite Hulk Hogan movie. I believe that's one of the movies I saw that movie. I thought it
I
was
did
kind of
too.
funny.
I did too.
It was kind of funny. It was hard. He had this kind of he had character and presence, and it was hard not to like him. And I thought in the movie he was funny. Uh, and another thing that happened this week was also with Malcolm-Jamal Warner, and
Yes, really tragic. Very
I,
sad.
the thing is that I'm trying to find this thing here, which I tweeted a few days ago, and I thought it was a good way to describe how I felt at that moment. See, the thing is, I wrote here in my tweet that due to the legal troubles of Cosby in recent years, the Cosby Show's place in our collective memory is often pushed aside. That doesn't take away from how great and relatable Malcolm Jamal Warner was as Theo to so many kids growing up in the '80s. He will be missed. And the reason I also wrote it is we talk so much today about all this kind of representation, and in recent years, all this kind of equality and diversity and all this other stuff. And I've told you on many occasions that the '80s had a type of diversity that was so much more powerful than the stupid crap we see today. And for me, Malcolm Jamal Warner is a really good example because, I know that show was very popular. The first time that I watched that show, and I think it was one of the early episodes, what got me kind of interested in the show is that Theo was a troublemaker. And, his father, we won't talk about the actor, but, his father comes home. He's gotten into some trouble or done something stupid, and the father is kind of annoyed at him. And he's kind of Theo is trying to hustle his way out of it, kind of after doing mischievous things.
Yep.
And that scene with his father, when I saw it, I found Theo relatable. because I myself, or maybe other kids too, you do kind of things, you annoy your dad, you get into trouble, you do a little bit of mischief. And I found that situation relatable, and I found Theo relatable. And you know what I was never thinking about as a kid? I never thought to myself, oh, what's his skin color? Do you get what I'm saying? I never thought of
Exactly.
any.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never thought of it. I just said, I like this guy. I can totally relate to what he's doing here and what he's going through. I like this guy. And his performance on that show, everybody always talks about the pudding pop man and all that stuff. But the truth is, that was an ensemble cast. And a lot of times when you do a cast and you bring all these kids there, those kids could be, a complete flop. If you don't have the right, like, teenagers and kids and whatever, your show is not going to go anywhere. The cast of the Cosby Show had a really, really good ensemble cast. Uh, Starting from his wife, which I think Felicia Rashad, I think, played really well his wife. The kids, especially, like, I think of, like, Theo, which was Malcolm-Jamal Warner, Lisa Bonet as Denise. I thought that those were probably amongst the stronger cast members. And
Oh no, Price got booted. He'll be right back. There he
oh,
is.
where was I cut off?
Oh, you just a second ago. You've only been gone for like 2 seconds.
I was saying that you, like, two very important roles on the Cosby Show. You had Denise, which was played by Lisa Bonet, and you had Theo, who was played by Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, those two characters were very important because I feel like girls growing up, especially like teenage girls, really connected to the Denise character, and maybe dudes growing up kind of connected more with the Theo character because he was always getting into trouble. And I feel like they really made that helped make that show what it is. And like I said, for me, the gateway into liking the show was Theo. Never thought about his skin color, never thought about anything. Now, I know maybe the adults probably read articles that said, oh, like, they're showing a black femme. Maybe somebody wrote about that, although it wasn't like today with the internet. I don't think everybody interviewed for this every second talking about their skin color. I think that the show was on the air. People liked the show. Families would sit around. I remember Thursdays you had the Cosby Show. That's probably the best era of NBC. I know now today it's not popular to say because of Pudding Man. I understand that, but separating all of that and just taking a time machine and going back, you had the Cosby Show. Then you had Family Ties, from what I recall, and then
Yep.
you had what was it? You had Cheers, I think, and then you had Night Court. Man, what a lineup!
Amazing.
Man,
Yes.
what a lineup of TV. I would sit there with my family. We would sit there and watch those shows. First of all, the 8 to 9 thing, which was Cosby Show and Family Ties, that's family watching together. We're eating dinner, like we would have some kind of food, maybe at a sort of a dinner table, and have the television sort of in the background where we're eating and all kind of enjoying the shows together. It's something that I remember having happening every Thursday. It was obvious that on Thursday night we're going to sit and watch these shows and eat food. It happened every week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yep.
know how it was for you, Professor. I just can tell you how it
We
was for me.
yeah, we would generally watch a bunch of those shows, and occasionally we would watch them together. It just depended. But yeah, Cosby. I remember watching lots of Cosby Show. We enjoyed watching that. I actually preferred some of the some of the later night ones. I was a huge fan of Night Court growing up. Probably much to my mother's distress that I enjoyed Night Court. But yeah, I was a huge fan of that. Um,
You know what I liked on Night Court especially? I liked Bull.
oh yes, Bull Shannon, Nostradamus. Bull, Shannon was his actual name was Nostradamus. Bull
So
Shannon. Yes, he was fantastic. And
Caleb Levine,
yeah,
Caleb Levine said, Price, I agree 100%. Always felt and viewed Theo as my older brother, and I'm white as the driven snow.
yeah.
Uh, and then we had Theo on Cosby was the kid underachieved as his dad was a doctor and mom was a lawyer. At 8:30, there was Michael J. Fox as in Alex the overachiever on the same day, same network. Man, what a great time for television that was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
And I
grandparents were
actually I preferred the Cosby Show to yeah, I forget the name of the other show. Slipped out of my head.
Family Ties.
Family Ties. Yeah, yeah. I preferred the Cosby Show to Family Ties. Oh, imagine that. Someone liking and relating to a black family when they're not black. Oh.
For
Imagine
me,
that.
it wasn't. I really like the character of Alex P. Keaton.
Mhm.
So, Family Ties really, because of Michael J. Fox, it is very. I have a very personal connection to that show. But you know what? On Thursday nights, it wasn't really a competition that I'm thinking which of these shows I like more. It's obvious that I'm watching both of them. Like, it's such a great lineup to have Cosby Show, new episodes like Cosby Show, Family Ties, Cheers, and Night Court. That is a slam dunk of an evening. It doesn't, if you're in the 80s, I don't think it gets better than that in terms of like sitcoms, and they're all on one night. It's unbelievable, you know? The only problem is at the end there was some like after all those four, they had like Hill Street Blues or something like that. That was the end of it. Anytime they started, like I heard like the Hill Street Blues music, I was out of there. I couldn't care less about that. But those four comedy shows, loved that. And yeah, it just goes to show you that back in the day, you had diversity and stuff, and it was done organically. I always lecture about this like a broken record. Organic diversity is good because if you're just doing a show that everybody likes, but there happens to be diversity in it, it goes a long way. It goes much further than all those other things where you're just, like you said, they sat in a Disney boardroom and this guy has to be diverse. That's not how things work. That's not how you get people to get to be more accepting. They get more accepting when there's a story and where there's characters that they can relate to. It doesn't matter the skin color. Skin color is one aspect. It's not, if you don't have a screenplay and if you don't have good characters, none of that is worth anything. So, yep. Well,
Yep.
yeah, there was also Ozzy Osbourne. We talked about that last time. People were mentioning that. You also mentioned
Yeah.
that a jazz player.
Yeah, Chuck Mangione, who was he was notable jazz musician. He had light jazz stuff that he played. He passed away. He was just at his home. No one's actually mentioned anything about what he passed away from. But he's 84. I'm assuming it was probably just uh, you know natural causes, as they say. But yeah, he had smooth jazz stuff that he played. Feels So Good was kind of his biggest hits. Give It All You Got was another one. But then yeah, he made some pop culture appearances. Specifically, he was on King of the Hill, where they repeatedly they came back to him on King of the Hill, where he was playing this album, and there were things that were there, and then he became like the spokesperson for the Megalomart. And then at one point he worked at the Megalomart. And so they had this sort of running gag with Chuck Mangione. So there's a whole bunch of people that's really the only place that they actually know him from. So yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he passed away. He's 84 years old. They said he passed away at home. So yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there. Yeah, with we didn't really mention it, but yeah, unfortunately with Malcolm-Jamal Warner, that was an accidental drowning. That's very sad. He was in Costa Rica with his family. They were vacationing, and he and his 8-year-old daughter were caught in an undertow and pulled out to sea. And several people went. They were crying for help, and several people went to go try to rescue them. There was that's just someone on a surfboard, nearby surfer, who managed to get out there and got his daughter out of the water, his 8-year-old daughter. And so she was saved. There was a volunteer lifeguard who was able to get out there and bring Malcolm onto the shore, but he had already drowned by the time they got him onto the shore. And yeah, they tried to bring him back for, I think they said, almost 45 minutes that they were trying CPR, and they were unable to revive him. So really, really tragic passing for him. And that's gonna be rough on his family, rough on his daughter, I'm sure, especially. But
And Eminem says
yep.
original Black Sabbath with Ozzy was great. He went downhill from there. I think, he had those early 80s with Randy Rhoads. Some music that he made was cool. Even later on, he had even albums in his later years that I had a few albums from his later stuff. And he was never bad. He always had the same kind of interesting character that he had. Yeah, I guess like, maybe his early solo material and early Sabbath, that's probably like his strongest work, but I thought that he was rather steady. was able to sing, in his own style for many years and kind of maintain his voice a long time. That was also pretty cool. Uh, Kay Burton once says Cosby Show was the beginning of to get black pulp culture in prime time. Makes sense because others preceded President Johnson pushed race with new society initiative. I don't really know what to tell you. All I know is that I grew up and I saw a lot of sitcoms that had black people in it, and I absolutely loved them. And some of them were even ones that would be considered, had social commentary and even criticism and things like that. The Jeffersons, I enjoyed that show. Not going to lie to you, I grew up. There was an episode of The Jeffersons. I would watch it.
The Jeffersons, the Sanford and Son. That's one that I
Sanford
was
and Son
exposed to on
reruns.
I was in reruns. I was trying to remember the Nickelodeon, the Nick at Night, but that show was hilarious.
Hilarious.
Absolutely hilarious. Red Fox
Red
was
Fox was a genius.
so
Yeah.
so good in that. I love that. It was fantastic. Yeah,
Those things, like Red Fox and Sanford and Son, more edgy than most of the comedies you have now. If you watch some of
absolutely
those
is
old
way
ones,
more edgy.
very edgy. Red Fox, like that was funny. Sanford and Son was funny. People were talking about theme songs. Night Court had this kind of slapping bass, which was cool. Sanford and Son had a pretty interesting slapping bass type of song as well. Another show I'd watched growing up, What's Happening. I thought
Sure.
that
Yeah.
there was a guy called Rerun on
Yes.
the show, and it was because he kept doing the fourth grade over and over again or whatever it was. He was kind of a plump guy with a funny hat. Absolutely, that guy cracked me up. I enjoyed watching What's Happening because I liked Rerun. I watched like Different Strokes, Webster. There was just a lot of
Yeah,
diversity that nobody was even saying
I
anything.
watched both of those. Yeah, Different Strokes and Webster. Yeah, watched
I
those.
they were seemingly kind of competing shows with each other, yet I enjoyed them both. I actually watched them both. I think that I like Different Strokes more overall. Webster, after a few seasons, got kind of stale. I thought that Gary Coleman was actually really talented in terms of comedy.
Mhm.
Uh, people maybe overlook that today, but that guy, he was funny. Even the other people on that cast were good, but Gary Coleman was a real talent, I think, as a kid,
Yeah.
or in his youth, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, now I'm just thinking about Sanford and Son. I need to find some episodes of that somewhere.
Rebecca Gold
Oh,
says Sanford and Son, based on UK's Septo and Son. I see.
okay. Yeah.
Well,
Interesting.
in the 80s, a lot of shows that you got here from in the US that people liked, they were all formats that they brought from from the UK. I believe the Three's Company was based on a UK show. They basically sat around and just saw what the UK people were doing and then made it more of like an Americanized version.
Yeah. Which has worked sometimes and other times has worked very poorly or has not worked at all. Uh, some of their attempts to turn British comedies, especially in more recent years, some of their attempts to turn British comedies into American comedies has been an absolute disaster. In fact, they tried with the IT Crowd, they tried with Red Dwarf, both of those infamously a huge disaster. But then, of course, we got like The Office, which came over from the UK and was bigger here than it ever was in the UK. So,
Well, Read by Nature said you had Moesha, but I didn't watch much of it. I preferred Sister Sister. Didn't really watch any of those shows. I did watch Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Thought that was a good show. Uh,
mhm.
Forgotten Newhart and Too Close for Comfort, which starred comedy legend Ted Knight. Yeah, those were good. Those were good. I mean, Newhart was with Bob Newhart, and then
Yes.
Too Close for Comfort. It was Ted Knight.
I can't. The only thing I could immediately that comes to mind, I know Ted Knight was, he played Ted Baxter on Mary Tyler Moore stuff, but the only thing that comes to mind when I think about Ted Knight is Caddyshack.
Of course, I understand that. That
Well, we're waiting.
What British actor could play Mr. Furley? Now, the truth is that they actually started with Mr. Roper. Now, I don't know who the British counterpart to Mr. Roper was, but that was Norman Fell that played him in the U.S. And then what happened with Norman Fell is that after a few seasons, they came to the conclusion, the people that were making Three's Company in the U.S., that it's so successful that they need a spin-off. So they basically made a show called The Ropers or something like that. And they decided to do a spin-off where they let the Ropers have their own show. And they move them out of Three's Company. They're going somewhere else and they're doing something else and they have their own show. That show lasted, I don't even know if it lasted one full season. It ended up being like a complete misfire. And why would it be successful? As much as people liked, Mr. Roper as a character, it didn't seem like spin-off material to me. Really don't know why they thought that they would give him a spin-off. But the problem is that once they got rid of him, they wanted to bring in like somebody known, and they brought Don Knotts, who was known from that like Andy Griffith and just all of his history in the entertainment industry. So they brought him to be Mr. Furley. But once they brought Mr. Furley on board, they couldn't bring back the Ropers after their show was canceled. So the Ropers, basically the actors that played the Ropers, got the short end of the stick from a hit show and characters that everybody liked. Because of the spinoff, they ended up actually losing, the steady income they were getting, those guys.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that was your question, Caleb Levine, but I unloaded a lot of information now. Man About the House was Three's Company. That's true, Ian. That is absolutely true. By the way, Ian, you're welcome to join us if you want. It's probably still in
He's
either
probably
brushing his
still
teeth
having
or
his coffee. Yeah.
having his coffee. But yeah. Anyhow,
Oh.
so how did we get to Mr. Roper?
Oh, I don't know.
Who knows?
Same way we get to anything. Yeah. Now
There was something else. What did I bring up? Was there something else? Oh, there's this game called Wuchang, and it had a strong start. Do you know anything about this?
I've heard some people that are pretty happy with it. But
Is it something that has
it's
nice ladies in it? Why are people happy
it
about
does
this
have a
game?
lovely lady in it. Right now, the reviews that I have seen of it have not been flattering. Uh, so I don't know. It's kind of a Souls-like style game, so way outside of anything I would normally play. I've never really been a Souls-like fan. So I've seen a few reviews of it. Some people seem to be really happy with it. It's a fairly mature, very bloody game. Has a very lovely looking woman being the main character. That she's not quite as exposed clothing wise as some of the other more recent games, but nonetheless, an attractive woman as the main character. But from what I have read, it's definitely some mixed reviews for it. So I don't know. Maybe they'll clean it up. I'm just jumping over here to Steam to see what their rating was. Oh, Steam right now says 13,000 reviews, mostly negative. So that's not good. Maybe it's just not performing well on computers. But yeah, a lot of people saying it's pretty unstable. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, not particularly one that interests me. So yeah, I haven't really looked into it too much.
I see.
Doesn't have all of the um goonishness of something like Stellar Blade, or I can't remember the name of the other title. More recent one that a lot of people have talked about, with characters that have very tiny costumes and so on.
I see. But you think that it's going to do well overall?
I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you because, like I said, looking at some of the reviews, uh, it might just be another fundamentally broken game that's gotten released. It might need to have a lot of patches before it's gonna catch on. I don't know. It doesn't look bad, but yeah, it's not really right now. It doesn't look like it's moving the needle much, but I don't know. I'll have to wait and see.
Well, I think people were posting that it started off with some strong numbers. I'm wondering if we can get a screenshot. What does it look like?
Here, give me just a second.
Just so people will be more familiar with what we're talking about.
Yeah, here we can. Where did the Steam page go? I had it open. Reopen tab. Reopen tab. Okay. Share real quick.
Bingo Hazmat says Unreal 5 games are always unstable.
Yeah, that is a frequent complaint that the Unreal games running on Unreal 5 just they're not very stable, and so a lot of it has led to a bunch of people taking a lot of shortcuts. So I can get this to share. There we go. So there's a little bit of the game. Obviously, it's Chinese developers. And so, what was that game that you played before, Price?
Mecha. Oh, you're talking about Wuchang.
Yeah, Wukong. Yeah. So, um, I think a lot of people were expecting a similar something in a similar vein here. Again, though, this is more of a Souls like, I think, than that. But yeah, some interesting character designs. There's some pictures here. Let's see if we can find a little bit more of the main character. Well, let's see. No. I did see some outfits earlier, but where'd those go?
I see.
Blood and violence. Oh, are you getting the audio?
Yeah.
Yeah, very combat centric. Really difficult fight kind of a thing. Just yeah, nothing is forever. There's another gameplay trailer.
The Ming Dynasty is dead. Although I swore to protect it, I failed. Now I walk the path of blood until my mission is fulfilled. I will not rest until all traitors are silenced and our stolen kingdom returned. Who dares to question my will, standing in the way of my redemption?
Oh, very, very gory.
I mean, listen, I don't think it looks as cool as Wukong was, which I played, but you know what? It doesn't look terrible to me.
No, it's got some solid design chops. I don't have a problem with the look of the game per se. It's just this particular style of game just not really my thing. Really wildly difficult. Always focused on these huge boss fights and stuff. Like I just tend to prefer stuff that's a little more on the more cinematic gameplay, a little more adventure, open world kind of stuff. Generally, this kind of thing just takes so many hours of grinding and stuff. So I just simply don't have that kind of time anymore.
I agree.
play
I
games.
prefer the original, maybe 3-4 Zelda games that were
There
ever
you
made.
go. There you go.
Those still I feel like they have the most charm to them.
Yeah, you can go back and play those anytime you like to. Plenty of hardware can play that. That's the other thing too. Like a lot of these, really complex newer games. Like they take such insanely powerful hardware to be able to even play them on a PC or something. And first of all, I'm a Mac user, so I'm not going out and spending another $4,000 on a gaming PC. But if I can play it on my Steam Deck, maybe I'll give it a shot. But that's about it.
So I don't know if you saw this. The Fantastic Four first steps are expected to be big with 190 to 210 global box office opening. I don't know how well this movie will hold. I think it's like a 400 to 500 million dollar movie.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to make more than that. And how much did it cost to make this movie? It must have cost like hundreds of millions.
Oh,
And they're
I'm
probably
sure.
not
I'm
even
certain
telling you
there
the
were
truth.
there were tons of reshoots and stuff. I'm certain that. Let me see. Look here.
Here, let's see if
Fantastic.
you can never count on these guys to ever tell you the truth. They'll be like, it cost $5 to make. They're already making their money back this second. They always say this stupid shit.
Fantastic Four first steps budget.
These guys aren't even talking about the budget, but yeah.
Well, let's see. Estimated to be around 200 million. Some reports suggest it was slightly over 200, but generally under 225, making it one of the more expensive Marvel Cinematic Universe
Yeah,
films.
if they don't get
outside of the
$800 million,
Avengers.
this thing is considered a flop, and they're not going to
Yeah.
make $800 million. They can go bullshit all they want later and say, oh, it cost $2. I don't believe them. It probably, with all their reshoots and all this stuff, they also probably didn't do like a standard marketing budget. It was probably hundreds of millions of dollars. By the time they're done spending, it's kind of like a Superman situation. They probably dumped about $500 million into it. And yeah, maybe there's some sponsors, maybe this and that, but I think that, like, if I'm generous, it's kind of like a Superman situation. Probably 800 minimum to break even. But if you want to be super generous, 7 to 800, which is super generous, I don't think that they're making that. And in some cases later, you'll find out, just like with Rise of Skywalker, that they actually needed like 900 to $1 billion. But let's just say I'm being nice and I'm playing ball. If this doesn't make 700 to 800 in the box office, same with Superman. They don't make that kind of money, they're considered a flop.
Yeah,
And the only
and
one that's going to make that kind of money until now is Jurassic World. Not that I'm saying Jurassic World was great. I'm just saying that movie, people didn't have much expectations because they just want to see some dinosaurs on screen.
yep.
And I guess that movie gives it to them.
And it's going to get huge pickup in the international audience, which Superman has not been getting. I don't think that Fantastic Four is really going to get all that much either. And I don't think that this is a 200 million opening. I really don't. I think they are huffing their own farts here. This is less than a 150 opening this weekend.
I think so. I mean,
I
and
don't.
whatever it opens, I don't have a lot of faith in it. I think it's not gonna it's not gonna do anything great for them. Jurassic World Rebirth. It's not a spectacular movie. I will say though that I had fun watching it because I just for me, anything that's not the original Jurassic Park movie is always going to be just some inferior, dumb, forgettable sequel. But for some reason, I didn't completely have a bad time at the theater watching Jurassic World Rebirth, even though I can't like say that it's some fantastic movie. It was something also in the 60s I gave it, but I didn't hate watching it for whatever it's worth. And this one already made 676 million. It's going to end with at least 700 million. Now, people will say, well, Dominion made $1 billion. Yeah, I understand that Dominion made $1 billion. I don't think this is going to make $1 billion. But you know what? They still managed to squeeze 700 million, and they can still claim that this wasn't a complete disaster for them. Even they, I'm sure, wanted to make $1 billion.
Well, I'm certain. Yeah.
Get Pete Hammond off the screen. Who's Pete Hammond? Who's Pete Hammond? Professor?
He was yeah, on one of the previous things the slides websites you were showing, we had Pete Hammond. He's a film critic.
Oh, I was showing some criticism from him. Sorry, I don't even know
Yeah.
who he is. In any case, so that's that. And then back to this other thing that we were taking a look at. Yeah, Anthony de
There's
Lissandra.
Pete Hammond right there.
This guy?
That was Pete Hammond.
Well, Anthony de Lothario is always the guy that's like writing all this crap for Variety. Don't trust him at all. I see that it says that SkyDance Paramount merger clears FCC at last, with deal set to close. Co-CEO Chris McCarthy to exit amid changes coming. SkyDance Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, I forgot I was going to mention. Yeah, we saw that the SkyDance merger looks like it's been approved, so that's going to be interesting. We started talking about that like a year ago, Bryce.
I just want to say that it's say what you want about his lawsuits or whatever, but I thought it was kind of amusing that this whole multi-billion-dollar deal is like all stalling because Trump sued them, and at the end they had to pay him. I mean, say whatever you want. He did manage to get the money out of them. I know they're all salty, but he got the money out of them. And the truth is, even though you could say he was petty with him suing them and all that stuff, I don't think that he was wrong in terms. I understand. Trump is a character and he does a lot of strange things, and not everything he does is stuff that I like. But if I was trying to be honest here, they did kind of edit that Kamala Harris interview in a way that was very favorable for her. And once you're changing answers of a presidential candidate, which is absolutely what they did, I think that if nothing else, it shows an issue. And if they were smart, Paramount, when all of that happened, they should have immediately retracted it, made an announcement, apologized, did all that stuff. Instead, it wanted to not say that anything's wrong and to continue business as usual and do all that stuff. And at the end, he sued them. And I think that he had, in this instance, some of the things that he sues maybe are weird. But you know what? In this instance, I think that he had something. And I guess Elizabeth Warren is trying to say, oh, it's like bribery because they paid him. Maybe they wanted this multi-billion-dollar thing to go through. But at the end of the day, I do think he had something of a case in this specific case.
Yeah, and it would have dragged on for a very long time, too. So, yeah, who knows? But yeah, so this will be this Paramount SkyDance merger, whatever, SkyDance Paramount, whichever way you want to say it. $8 billion merger between Paramount Global and SkyDance Media. So that's going to include Paramount Pictures, CBS, 28 television stations that are owned by the Paramount CBS networks, the Paramount Plus platform is for streaming, and then a number of cable channels that are owned and operated by SkyDance. So this is a pretty big deal merger wise. So right now, SkyDance has been saying a number of things. First of all, they want to really start cutting stuff to the bone. They want to start getting rid of things that are not successful. They want this to be a profitable company. They've also said that and pledged that they are going to be eliminating DEI initiatives from their companies, from everything that's going to happen under this merged business. Now, how serious they are about that, I don't know, but they have said they have other plans like hiring ombudsmen and stuff to represent different areas and ensure that they're being compliant with eliminating these DEI things from their companies. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens there, but this is a big deal. There's a lot of media tied up in this, and I mean, we always hope for the best, right? we all thought that Marvel being bought by Disney and Star Wars being bought by Disney was going to be great because now this company and they've got all the talent and everything, and of course well, Marvel worked out at least for a while. Star Wars was a disaster from the start. I don't know. More media consolidation. Yay.
Yeah. Oh, well. I mean, maybe something good will come out of all of this.
Yep.
There was something else. What was it? We were talking about their deal, Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Yeah, they made a big deal with Paramount, $1.5 billion, something like that. It was a huge deal, and it was like 5-10 episode seasons or something. as well as some specials. But they're also getting the entire back catalog. So it'll be the Paramount Plus or whatever it ends up becoming after this merger will be the exclusive home for all of the streaming episodes.
It's a 5-year exclusive license deal with Paramount reportedly worth $1.5 billion. Listen, some of these companies, they spend on one movie like $300 million, like The Electric State, and that doesn't do anything for them. And if this is over the course of 5 years, and let's say you calculate it at $300 million a year, and you get to show South Park on your streaming service, it's probably worth it for them. South Park is a big deal. Again, we because we know what they were like at the beginning, and we know that they're uneven today with the comedy. Maybe we don't watch every second everything that they do, but the truth is that it has a following, and it's an international brand. It's like I was saying before, it's an institution, and I guess it's worth it for Paramount, worth it for Trey and Matt also. So good for them. 50 episodes over 5 seasons and all 26 previous seasons of South Park. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I can understand that.
Yeah, and I guess they're getting the international rights as well, which they didn't have before. So that's also a big part of the cost there. So now, worldwide, not that there won't be any other way to watch it, but new episodes will premiere on Comedy Central, and then the next day they're going to be available on their Paramount Plus platform, or again, whatever it ends up being called going forward. But then, yeah, they'll have all of the previous seasons, and they'll have the rights to those both domestically and internationally. So that's a pretty big deal. If they're expecting that, especially if they're expecting that to bring in a lot of viewership to their platform. So, yeah.
Some of the money from the new overall streaming pact is expected to go towards repaying the $800 million loan Park County took in 2023 from private equity firm Carlyle Group. Why did they take $800 million from them?
From Carlyle? I'm not sure. I don't know.
That's so strange. I mean, what are they doing? What do they need all this money for?
That was Park County.
Park County is probably their production company.
Yeah, that's their production company.
Why would they need an $800 million loan, Professor?
Don't know.
I wish I understood. It's like $800 million. What are you going to use those on? What are you like? There must be a play here that I don't understand.
Yeah. $8 million asset-backed credit facility to Park County production company for South Park. They're wealthy, but maybe the company itself was not.
It's estimated that each of them have $600 million as a net worth.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like they're doing too badly.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the Park County, the production company, they might have plenty of money, but Park County perhaps did not. So
did they take the money for themselves and leave Park County with nothing? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I mean, it's companies have to pay their staff. They have to pay their, they have to pay the people that work for them. So they paid Trey and Matt, and I'm sure they paid them well. But yeah, perhaps the company itself was not performing as well. I mean, it's entirely possible that they were expecting income from from series or from specials or something that didn't happen. It's possible that they were already carrying some heavy debt from something else. Maybe some of their Book of Mormon, musical shows got canceled, or I think they also own the Casa Bonita restaurants. Maybe those were failing and lost them a lot of money. I don't know.
I do know that they invested money in that, but I don't think they invested $800 million in Casa Bonita. With all
no, I don't think they invested that much. I'm just saying.
Is it doing well? How's it even doing, that Casa Bonita thing?
Oh, I have no idea. No idea. Restaurants are a messy business, so.
Interesting. Anyhow, let me think for a second if there was anything else that we wanted to cover, because we're starting to already, kind of wind down here. But let's see if there was anything else that I missed just from like last minute stories. I don't believe this Fantastic Four.
Matt Stone and Trey Parker bought Casa Bonita for $3 million, investing $40 million of their own money and renovations. It's estimated it will take 56 years running at full capacity to recoup their $40 million investments.
They're so weird. I can't even understand what they were doing with it. They're just the craziest people.
Estimated annual revenue for Casa Bonita is around $122.9 million. But other sources show varied revenue figures. So, yeah.
I see that. I don't know why this is popping up again. That James Gunn blames anti-American sentiment for Superman's lower. The fact that it's not being internationally isn't because people don't like Trump or whatever it is. This is such a stupid excuse. James Gunn has become a man full of excuses. Uh, he had a budget that was reported that was much higher than what he said, and he's like, no, it's some secretary that wrote the wrong number. All this weird shit. It's like, dude, you're not some little shyster somewhere sitting around that you could just bullshit people. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You're the sorry, Sean, fucking CEO of a company or co-CEO. This man always has the strangest stories. Just although he wouldn't be the only one. I mean, it's not like Bob Iger doesn't have stupid stories also, but it's like just accept responsibility. You made a movie. It's not for everybody. It's not getting that kind of wide appeal that you thought it would. I dare say, you can say whatever you want about Zack Snyder and about Henry Cavill and all that stuff. If there was a movie, maybe even without Snyder's involvement, if they had made, whenever that was, another movie with Henry Cavill as Superman and actually brought the guy a decent screenplay, with or without Snyder, but like a decent screenplay, I think that movie with Cavill probably would have done better internationally.
Very likely. And some just more recognizable cast.
The thing with DC is that they sort of, while MCU was making more money and creating the kind of silly levity type of Marvel humor thing, they went for the more gritty later era DC. Not the Silver Age, but I guess more of the modern age that they were going for, more dark, more gritty. And initially during that time, it looked like they weren't making a good decision. But I think that if they would have stuck with it, and I understand, I am not a Snyder bro, and I think that guy had some issues with his movies. But what I'll say is that sticking with that tone that was maybe a little more gritty or whatever it is, if they would have just continued to build that patiently and quietly without all their stupid crap, that they did so many stupid things, maybe there was something to work with there. You know what I'm saying? The trouble really started. See, yes, Zack Snyder didn't make them $1 billion, and neither did his vision or whatever. But they were making 650 to 700, and that was back then. That money now would be welcome if you adjusted for inflation. They had that kind of money, and the second they started bringing Joss Whedon to play around with and to do all this stuff, and push Zack Snyder more and more out of his own universe, I feel like they weren't making more money. Now, that's not to say that Zack Snyder was perfect, and it doesn't mean that there wouldn't be another person that could take that gritty thing better than him, but I don't think that they made the right choice, personally.
Nope.
And now they went the whole other direction. They're like, we want super goofy and silly, super quirky goofy. We want the Silver Age. The Silver Age, isn't the Silver Age the time when they had that code where they all the comics had to bow down to the authorities and gives them some ass kissy material?
The comics code, yeah, that was around from when did that start?
So and then afterwards you had the more gritty DC that they sort of reinvented themselves. See, maybe the reason I don't like this Superman is also when I had comics as a kid, I had the series Man of Steel. I don't remember in Man of Steel that Superman was a bozo. I could be remembering incorrectly because I haven't read those comics in years, but from what I recall, Superman was Superman in Man of Steel comics.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember those?
Yeah, I remember some of them. I was never a huge comic collector, but I read quite a few from that friends had back in the day.
I'm not saying, I actually liked comics as a kid, but I'm not saying that I read every comic and I had every single thing. But when in my youth in the 80s, you had this kind of revival where they did the Man of Steel. And I had those comics. I don't know where they are now. They're probably in some basement or attic or somewhere. But I actually had those Man of Steel comics, and that's the kind of Superman that I like to see. And whatever the Silver Era is, probably good for somebody, but I guess it's not as good for me. But
Yeah.
it is what it is, and I think we can start kind of wrapping up and going to
Yeah.
see if you have the people on Rumble or whatever it is that I also want to make sure I didn't forget any super chats or anything.
I didn't see anything.
I want to once again thank everybody that did stuff here today, that contributed. Mary White with 30 gift memberships. It was so kind of her. Really, really thankful. I don't know if she's still here. I'm really, really thankful. Thank you, Mary. Kal-El's Harem, which is also Istophobos, under a brand new name. He was a member for 9 months, and also 5 Price of Reason Live gift memberships. Thank you so much, Istophobos. I appreciate it. And then Erwin from Nerd Wars, $5 super chat. Everyone is going to be mad at me. I like the movie. We're not mad. Tim Hayes has been a member for 7 months. I like Tim Hayes. Tim Hayes is a good guy. Sometimes he also does like retweets on my Twitter, and then I retweet his retweet. He understands what I mean. 6, haven't seen her in a while, and always nice to see her. So thank you, 6. And then again, it's Phobos, who reminded me that I had a Rumble rant. And I apologize that I didn't initially see that Rumble rant. And I thank you for the $2 super chat, as well as those Rumble rants, which you gave, I believe, 2 of them. It's also very nice of you and greatly, greatly appreciated. And in general, I like Istophobos. I hang out with him sometimes here on streams and stuff. Istophobos is a good guy. Sometimes we just DM each other random crap about things, movies or shows or stuff that we watch, and he's an interesting guy. So, was there a list? Was there something I was supposed to do?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I can read it.
Oh, okay,
But
I got
it's
it.
in there. It's in there. Yeah, for
Empress and
Rumble.
this is for the Rumble. Empress and M, Phantom Monk, Istophobos, Elizabeth Quince, Dude Bro Seth 420, Kivo 1961, K Burton 1, Targeted SZ, targeted. Man, I don't know.
Let's see. Yeah, targeted.
Hypnocrab and Bingo Hazmat.
Yeah. Always glad to see our friends over there on Rumble joining us. On YouTube, we had, of course, the amazing Mary White, Mur Rockstro, Matthew McGee, Yitis, Zune RJ5, Pete Roble, Samsung, Rizkid for a Biscuit, Caleb Levine, Kal-El's Harem, Istophobos, Amelia Bedelia, Stephen Mack, Read by Nature, Bishop Judas, Tim Hayes, Jason Webster, Whalem03, Hook, Phantom Outsider, Patriot Johnny, Watcher X, Corbin Dallas, Multipass, Kelly Chow, Obi Dean, Darren M, Tomahawk 511, Mephisto's Movie Reviews, Eminem, Empress NM, Rebecca Gold, good to see you, Ian, Jonathan Conroy, Malachi D. Wildman, 6, Void King, Bush McFadden, Sheriff Brackett, Ghost Fixter, Gabby 13, Marla Sharondoff, I have New Dick, The Dead Man, Phantom Monk, and Sean Green. So if I mentioned some in there twice, it looks like it maybe gave me a couple of them twice. So, but that's fine. It's great to see you all here. Thank you.
And yeah, I guess on that very positive note, we can all say goodbye, and we'll see you here on Tuesday. I think it's on Tuesday, right?
Well, usually, yeah.
So Tuesday and Thursday, we have the Night Owl here at 11:45 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you all then.
Take care.
Bye.